And you are listening to the first edition, but the 35th edition of Blitz, live YouTube show. We're trying something out very, very new for the first time. Myself and Kyle Smith are on the meeting, the YouTube live. Going to be doing a 53-man roster prediction. We're going to be doing some superlatives. Didn't tell Kyle about that because I want to surprise him. It's always fun to surprise him and make him pick some things and talk about some things he had no idea about. So we will be doing some of that. So Kyle, what's up?
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Not too much, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Like I said, first time doing this, so there's some things to work out. Hopefully we can build a little bit of an audience doing this. Hopefully we can get some calls and build that for the future. Like I said, I think we're probably going to try to do this about monthly if Kyle is down for it, which he seems to be for now until I send some mysterious topics at him. But like I said, 35th edition.
Fix your camera so we can see more of your face.
No, see, there you go. Exactly. So it's the new YouTube live stuff. But 53-man roster, superlatives. Other than that, I don't want to do too much housekeeping because we are live and I don't want to waste people's time who might be clicking in for the first time. So let's go right into the superlatives, Kyle. Like I said, call in whenever you want. I'm going to be screening the calls. Again, you could just comment on YouTube if you want, or you could be or you could call in. The call-in number is going to be just actually I'll say it in a second. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on my screen, but superlatives. First one, Kyle, and this is something that we did on the website. Myself, Sabo, Nania, Sam, and Ben Blessington, who I need to have a conversation with, by the way. Who apparently is going to try to have a little contest with a 40-yard dash and stuff with me. The Jets.
Ben always was a little cocky.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be fun meeting him in the Jets parking lot. But superlatives.
He's coming down for a game. Oh, not this year though.
No, I don't know. It seems like you're a little bit behind me, Kyle. But superlatives: offensive breakout star, non-rookie. Who do you got?
Offensive breakout star, non-rookie.
Yep.
Perriman.
Okay, I'm just gonna. I want to see how many of yours match the ones that I got.
Is that what you had?
And that. Yep, exactly. We're gonna be seeing here. So
if he's healthy, I think he's gonna have a sneaky good year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just because of his tape, and I watched the tape, obviously, of him, last year, and I think the whole 5-game thing that he was productive is a little bit overstated. Where I showed in that film review, again, if you want to go back and watch that, you can. You're on the Jets X Factor site right now, or you're watching, listening. So I know you guys can go back and watch that if you haven't before.
You don't even need to. You got the whole thing on YouTube. That's one of the ones that you have the whole thing on there.
Yeah, exactly. So I match you with that one, Kyle. Let's see with the next one. Again, I got like a billion windows open, and this is going to be a little bit rusty because this is my first time ever doing this. But all offensive rookie of the year, who do you got?
Offensive rookie of the year. Shoot. I mean, okay. To our team, or what would be recognized more by the NFL?
Oh God, you're gonna get super deep here.
Because one player would never win it in terms of NFL. Like never, ever, ever. If you know what I mean.
You're talking about stats and stuff. No, who's the best offensive rookie?
I'm talking about a lineman would never win it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I want Kyle's offensive rookie of the year. I don't care about the NFL.
That's tough because I really like both of the first two picks. And I could see either one of them having a bigger year for us. I'll say Becton more so than Mims, and I'll say it for a couple of reasons. I think that the nature of this offseason and the fact that Mims had the hammy injury and he missed time, like you already knew he was going to be a little raw coming in this year because of his limited route tree and, it was going to take him, like a solid year to develop anyway. But now having this, really abbreviated year, and plus the fact that I just think that because Becton is going to add so much in the run game, and when you compare how bad our run game was from last year to what I think it potentially could be this year, I think that jump is going to be much more noticeable. So I'd give it to Becton just based on that.
Yeah, we match with that one. And I see the people commenting on the YouTube. I will be getting to you guys. We have 34 people in here, which is awesome for the first time. So I really do appreciate everybody who's in here. Again, I want to keep running this once a month. Again, we'll continue to build the page, whether it be through call-ins or the guys who watch on YouTube. We'll give some stuff away, whatever it may be. But I appreciate everybody who's jumping in here and who's commenting on the YouTube. I do see you guys, which I will get to some of your questions for sure. So Kyle, let's run through these relatively quick because we have to do this and the
okay. Sorry,
no, it's okay. Quicker. No, the thing is, me and Kyle could talk about Becton being the offensive rookie of the year for 2 hours because we get really, I don't know about his footwork on this play, so which we have to talk about a couple things like that, that post throw that I can make. By the way, I'm very confident in myself making a 30-yard throw.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will. So I match you with that one. Perriman, Becton, offensive play, most disappointing player.
Most disappointing player, and I could pick any player on the whole roster.
Yep.
Okay. Man, I might say something that might really, really, really piss people off.
Do it. It'll make the viewers go up, hopefully.
Sam Darnold.
Really? You are down on Darnold. That is very surprising.
I'm just but seriously, okay, you could maybe pick Le'Veon Bell, but I think after last year, a lot of people are kind of already thinking, like you just said when you did your Frank Gore show, like you said, 90% of Jets fans will probably think that we'll cut Bell next year with saving that money, right? So even if he had like a semi-good year, it wouldn't be a shocker if he's gone for whatever reason. People aren't super high on Perriman. Like what do we really have? People have high hopes for Darnold. People are watching the One Jets drive and Jordan Palmer hyping him up just like he hyped up Christian Hackenberg. Let's not forget. I mean, so people expect really big things out of Darnold. And I'm not saying Darnold is going to be terrible, but I don't know that Darnold will ever amount to expectations that he had pre-draft. So when you just think about that right there, who's going to fit most disappointing other than him? I'm not saying he's going to be terrible, but just I'm answering the question as best I can.
Yeah. And there's some people asking too, is it 55-man roster instead of 53 this year? I'm pretty sure it's still 53-man roster. So that's what we did. I think next year might be the 55. I believe that's what's happening. And then I see some people commenting on some guys who are disappointing. TJ Decker says Perrine. I don't really have high expectations for Perrine in terms of offensive most disappointing. So I think he's going to get 5 to 10 snaps.
He's the third string running back right off the jump.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I don't think so. Bless Austin. That's maybe for defense. We'll get to defense later. I think I might have picked the comp out answer, whatever. I did Alex Lewis. I don't want to say Darnold. I think people's opinions of him are a little bit inflated, where they think he's better than he was last year, just because he's a rough and tumble type guy who will punch you in the mouth. So I don't think he's very good. I think he's gonna be the worst offensive lineman of the year. So I chose him. Darnold, again, it depends on where your expectations are. If your expectations are for him to be a top 10 quarterback this year, I think you will be disappointed, but it's all relevant because you have to factor in what's around him at this point. And looking at the receivers, how injured they are, looking at the offensive line, them gelling in a unforeseen offseason, something that's never happened before, them having to gel quickly coming up against teams like the 49ers with Bosa. Obviously the Colts, who have a solid defensive front. You have the Broncos with Chubb and Miller. You have the Bills. You have a bunch of good teams that they're going to be going against. So it's going to take a little bit to gel. And the Jets do have, and I know people say the schedule doesn't mean anything. I kind of fall in between. The schedule means everything and it means nothing. Somewhere in the middle. You expect good teams to be good still when you play them. Like when we play the Patriots, you expect them to beat us. The last couple of years, I'm not saying this year. You expect the Niners to still be a good run team, et cetera. Good coached, well coached. The Bills be well coached, et cetera. So it depends on what your expectations are. I just want to see steps up in the right direction from Darnold. But moving on, offensive best player. Who's the best player on offense? Again, not necessarily just by ESPN. We don't care about ESPN. This is our superlative show.
Best player overall on offense. I'll go with Bell. I think he's going to be better this year. Hey, help me out here because I don't really follow a lot of the beat reporters really closely. I don't really read a lot of their crap. Because quite honestly, I think some of them are. Hold on. Can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, sorry. I had the YouTube live thing playing, and I think that one's delayed, so like it was throwing me off. I know Costello is one of the guys saying like, oh, Bell's taking a real step back this year. I don't know if other guys are saying that. And again, I'm not watching him in practice. But just judging based on Bell's tape last year and looking at all the, work he put in on the offseason, it's hard for me to really see that he's going to look a lot slower this year. I mean, Bell's never been a fast player. That's never been his game. So I don't know where that's coming from. But when I just look at the whole roster, it's hard for me to think that he wouldn't be the best player on offense this year. He was still good last year. He was still making guys miss. He was still catching balls when they came his way. He was still good in pass pro. I mean, literally, he just did not have a lot of holes to run in last year. That was the biggest problem. He still was a little disappointing, truthfully, but he's the best player on offense.
Yeah, I guess some people saying I don't know if people are saying Herndon as the most disappointing or Herndon as the best player on offense. If Herndon, one person says if Herndon gets hurt, Byron says if he gets hurt, he's the most disappointing, which I agree with because people have high expectations for him. But again, he's had some injury problems, which I'm concerned about with Herndon in terms of him being a good tight end, kind of like Dustin Keller-ish, not in terms of exact skill set, but a good young tight end who's going to get injured a lot. So I am a little bit concerned for Herndon's future in terms of his injuries, but hopefully he's not injured. Obviously, that's the hope that we have to have. You didn't match my offensive best player. I actually said McGovern.
Really?
And this is again, based on like expectations versus reality, I think that McGovern is a top 10-ish center in the league, where Bell is kind of, I think, probably falling towards the back end of that top 10, maybe into the 15s. Maybe he's like an average running back at this point in his career. And a lot has to do with the offensive line, to be completely fair, because you did, obviously watching the film last year, it was a lot of him just not having any holes to run through, his patient running style mixed with an offensive line where if the hole is open, you got to hit it quickly because the Jets offensive line didn't open holes regardless. So there's one there, you better take it because it's going to close pretty quick. Yeah. So it's a combination of things. I would probably say it could be Bell and it probably should be Bell, but I went McGovern there. This is a weird one. I don't know why I don't know why Nani put this in there, but I'm just gonna see if you match my stuff. Offensive assistant coach of the year. Weird question.
Offensive assistant coach of the year. It's not going to be Dowell. We know that.
No, I don't think so.
Pollock or Sean Jefferson. Who's the running backs coach? Just wondering. I don't even got my head.
The dude, the guy with the beard. I forget his name is, to be honest.
Who used to be with the Cardinals? Way back or a couple years ago?
Yeah, that's him.
I forgot his name. He used to play in the league himself.
Somebody help me out in the YouTube live. I know somebody's in there. He's gonna say it, hopefully.
Shoot. This one's tough.
Yeah, it is.
I'll go with Frank Pollock with the bounce back year.
You're right. Yeah, Jets. This is Sabo, Jim Bob Cooter. Yeah, that's the running backs coach. It's not. I was thinking about the black dude with the big beard. I forget his name is though.
He was with Todd Bowles a couple years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot his name. So yeah, Jim Bob Cooter was the former offensive coordinator for the Lions, and he was even getting head coaching consideration a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get it. I'll say Pollock with the bounce back year. I think he's, he's got a lot more guys he can mold this year. Definitely some younger dudes and stuff. So I think he's going to continue the trajectory of his career. One thing about offensive line coaches, it's kind of like, sometimes, like I was having a conversation with my cousin last night. He's like, you guys should have hired McCarthy. He's a Packers fan, my cousin. You guys should have. I was like, why? Why would I want to hire McCarthy? So like McCarthy at one point in time was a pretty good coach, but he stopped innovating, and his offense became like, really dry. It was kind of like old style.
A lot of ISO routes.
Yeah. Slant flat concept constantly. But I think with like offensive line, you're not put in that position where you constantly have to innovate and come up with new schemes. It's more so like really focusing down on technique and stuff. So I think that Pollock, being that he's got like a whole bunch of different dudes to work with, I think he's going to kind of get back to his, where he was at with being one of the better offensive line coaches in the entire league. So I'll go with him.
Yeah, the guy's name was Stump. Whatever. I forgot his first name was, but somebody said Stump. Yeah, Stump. That's what we were thinking about. It's not Jim Bob Cooter. We forgot. So thank you, Joe Corsello, who mentioned that. Some people were saying Hines Ward. I think Hines Ward is going to be a future wide receivers coach. Obviously, he's the assistant now. I said Coach Jefferson, the wide receivers coach, just because I think he's done a pretty good job. Obviously, this son, I think the receivers develop pretty nicely here for the Jets for the most part. You take guys who are kind of nothing and they make them something. So I like the receiver development the Jets have. But I agree with you on Pollock, whatever. Because a lot of people, the Jets offensive line was terrible. And it's like the simpleton way of thinking, oh, they were terrible last year, fire them. You can't implement a whole system and teach guys technique over 1 year. Like, obviously, if Jonathan Harrison's terrible at 28 years old, it's going to be hard to teach him and make him good in 1 year. Like, that doesn't happen. So what is he coaching them, and what are they actually absorbing, and what are they taking to that coaching? So I hate that, Pollock was a highly regarded coach when we got him. Everybody's saying how highly regarded he was in the league. So now that he did bad with the Jets for 1 year, it's like trying to make me take you as and I'm not insulting you completely here, Kyle, but it's like, hey, Kyle, I'm going to try to make you, good enough to play in the NBA. Well, Kyle sucks at basketball, so I can't make him good to play in the NBA. Like that, you have shitty offensive line. You're not going to just make him good in a year. Again, me or you, I'm not good at basketball either. So, but continuing on, Stump Mitchell. Mitchell, that's the name. But continuing on, again, we're gonna run through these because I want to get to a ton of topics tonight. Like I said, first episode. Again, 50 people in the chat. I really appreciate all of you guys. We'll be doing some type of giveaway or something for the people who are here, or for the people who continue to watch on YouTube. But got a lot of topics to run through because I want to give them a ton of content. So we'll see how long we run. Offensive overall DVOA over or under 20.5. Are we better than the 20th or 21st offense, or are we worse than that?
In DVOA, I'll say worse.
I say worse too, just because of one, the schedule the Jets have, two, the all the new guys coming in, obviously, too, as well with that. The new offensive line, even new running backs, the new 2 and 3 running backs, new receivers. So I think they're going to be worse than that. But honestly, the Jets being the 31st, 32nd ranked offense last year, I think them being around 20, 21, 22, 23 will be a huge step up. Again, don't expect the Jets to be a top 10 offense in the league, but I think steps in the right direction is what we're looking for from the young guys.
Here's another thing to consider too. When you just factor in stats, just look at the way that Adam Gase manages games. And I actually think that he's not a horrible game manager. Like, you'll notice, like, when he gets a lead, like, he wasn't very confident in the offense last year. You could just tell. And I think rightfully so, especially when you factor in the offensive line and the lack of firepower. He knew that he had a pretty good defense last year. So when they got up in certain games, like the Steelers game, they went really, 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 really conservative. So I think that when you factor in offensive play too, and just, yards accumulation and points scored, that would also be another reason why the offense might be a little bit better than what the stats indicate too. I don't know if you agree with me.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I do agree with that. Moving on, Le'Veon Bell over or under 1,000.5 rushing yards.
I'm going to say over. 1,000 point. Wait, what does he mean by 1,000? Like 1,000 yards and 1,005 yards?
I don't know why it's not. I don't know why it's 1,000.5. So he's gonna have over or under 1,000, but he literally put 1,000.5. That's what it said. So
yeah, I'll say over.
I'm saying under, just because Gase has been a guy to rotate running backs typically. But
what coach doesn't though?
Yeah, exactly. But especially with a guy like Gore here, who he trusts, with P. Ryan here. A guy I think they like in Josh Adams, even though they tried to trade for Balaj, which I do not get, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I think that it's going to be a rotation, and I still think the offensive line is still below average at this point. I think, like I've said in the past, I think they've upgraded individually at a lot of positions on the offensive line, but in terms of the entire line as a unit, as one cohesive unit, it might take them a little bit to show that they're better than last year, in my opinion, especially against the team. Listen, we're not playing cupcake schedule this year. Like I said, to start off, it's pretty rough. So they've upgraded, but it's going to take a little bit because, as you know, Kyle, more than even I do, because you played college offensive lineman, how much you have to work with the guy to the left and to the right of you. So
I played college defensive line.
Oh, offensive line in high school, then defensive line in college?
Yeah, in high school, I played both.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If you don't play both sides of the ball in high school, you're really that good.
Unless you go to one of those high schools where, like, you just have so much firepower all around that they can afford to play guys one way.
No, my high school football team had like 28 dudes, and we were like 3 away from getting canceled. So,
by the way, I heard you were, if I heard you correctly on one of your previous shows, you were saying that you guys played Denellen and you were struggling with their muddle huddle. You guys lost to Denellen? You guys lost to Denellen?
We got smacked versus Denellen.
Dude, Denellen is absolute dog shit. We used to shit over.
Yeah, but what year did you play? What year did
I graduated in 2008, but we scrimmaged them every year.
Yeah, we played them in 2010. Did they have the running back who was like 240?
I don't remember them having a 240-pound running back. Yeah. I mean, if they did, he must have been like a sophomore at the time.
He was massive, and I remember I went to go block him. I forget if I was a corner. I forget if I was a corner or a receiver when I was playing him, whatever. Either I was going to get off a block versus him or I was going to block him and he punched me in the rib and I thought my rib cracked in half. Like he was the strongest guy I've ever played against and he was so freaking hard to tackle.
Dude, the worst I ever got laid out in a game was we were playing Perth Amboy and I was on the kickoff team. I was running down the sideline and this little kid, he must have been like 5'5" or maybe even shorter. He was coming at me full speed. I didn't even see him coming. And he hit me because he was low, low man wins in football because he's so short. Direct shot right in the side of the ribs, right on the sideline.
Yeah.
And dude knocked the wind straight out of me. It was hard to get up. I mean, this dude was small. That was a hell of a hit, though.
Yeah, I was a lead block. I remember being a lead blocker when I was playing running back this one game, and I was running up the sideline trying to, basically like arc block for my other running back because we had 2 running back sets and option and all that stuff. And this little white safety who's probably like 5'6" got under my pads. I didn't see him. He blindsided me. I literally did a backflip and I just couldn't breathe for like the next 2 days. But continuing on, I think Bell's gonna go under. I want him to go over. This is one I really teeter-tottered on. I think he'd be right around 1,000. Obviously, all-purpose yards. I think he'll be way over that, to be completely honest. Because last year, a lot of people said he wasn't used a lot in a passing game. I think he had like 60 catches or something like that. So he 66. Was used. Yeah, 66
or 66 catches. It was 60. Might have been 66 targets, but I heard Samini talking about it yesterday.
To be devil's advocate here, if they take him out of the box and don't let him block for Darnold, that's a problem last year. Even though you have Powell who could have done it as well. So with how bad the offensive line was last year, I'm not going crazy about how Bell wasn't. I think
Gore's pass pro is pretty good too.
It is. Yeah, it is. Moving on.
And by the way, that touchdown that Le'Veon caught in the scrimmage, where it was the nice back shoulder over Bennett Jackson. Gore was in the backfield on that play.
Yeah, I saw that as well. What's his name had a really good pass block that play too. Beckton had a nice pass set. Yeah, for sure. So, so the other guy, Socrates Johnson says that somewhat of a misconception. He wasn't fed the ball last year. He had a lot of touches. Yeah, it's completely true. Listen, when you have bad offensive line, bad offense, Luke Falk starting at quarterback, it's gonna be hard to get Le'Veon Bell going. It just is what it is. It's why it's the most the least valuable position in football is running back because of that reason. It's so dependent on the quarterback, the offensive flow, the offensive line. So,
and the way you got to think of Le'Veon is just like, if you have good run blocking, he's going to maximize that good run blocking. He will hit the proper hole. But if you don't have good run blocking, his skill set is really going to be a detriment, because of how patient he is waiting for something to open that just never does.
Mm-hmm. Next one, Darnold over or under 25.5 passing touchdowns.
I'll say over. 25. Over, so 26 touchdowns or more. Mark Sanchez had 26 passing touchdowns in 2011, I think it was. And that, which was Mark Sanchez's 3rd year. Darnold will get 26 touchdown passes. Yes, I think. And as long as he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, that's
because he did miss 3 games each of the last 2 years. So, but I think if he's healthy, he'll get it.
If he's not hurt, I think so too. I think he had 22 last year, right? He missed 3 games.
He had 19. He had 19 last year, but he had a couple rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, so I would say over. I bet the over at least on. I think I don't know if it was DraftKings, but I bet the over. Let's just say on the passing touchdowns. So I know you're not a betting guy, but I did that. Perriman over under 800.5 receiving yards.
If he's healthy, he'll get over it.
Yeah, another stipulation. I agree with that. If healthy, if he plays 16 games, I think he's going to go over that again. I think you agree with me. I'm a lot higher on Perriman and what he actually offers on the field than a lot of people are. Just because again, a lot of people don't watch the tape and they type in stats on Google. They see his stats on Google. And he was productive the last 5 games. That means he's only good the last 5 games. I showed plays of him burning Darius Slay for what could have been a 90-yard touchdown. And he wasn't hit because Winston didn't see him or overthrew him or whatever it may be. There was plenty of plays I put up of him just getting completely missed, even if he was targeted. So, and obviously with him being missed by a bad quarterback, he was the 4th option in the offense with OJ Howard, with Mike Evans, with Godwin. So that's why he shined more when he was one of the main targets of the offense when they went down. So he wasn't being force fed on screens or anything like that.
Can we just dispel a narrative right now? There is no way that the Jets were signing him and Robbie Anderson. That just wasn't going to happen. And let's just say this right now. His upside is, I would say, significantly higher than Robbie Anderson's. Let's just be honest. Upside alone. Because Robbie gives you nothing after the catch. Absolutely nothing. You can never run a screen with Robbie. You can never run an end around with Robbie. You're not going to throw a slant to Robbie and expect him to break a tackle and then go 50 yards upfield. Yeah, I mean, there's none of that. And Perriman is he's really physical too. I mean, like if you can kind of get physical and get like Robbie with a good jam, like you can probably disrupt his whole route. But I think Perriman is strong enough that, even if you do give him with a kind of a solid jam, he can kind of still get on top of you. And then as far as them going up and getting the ball, I would say it's pretty comparable. Perriman showed that he does have a good ability to go up and high point the ball too. Which
I'm definitely taking Perriman over Anderson in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean Robbie. Listen, people don't like to say, "Oh, he's a one-trick pony." Like I think, and all due respect to Glenn, I really like Glenn Naughton. I think Glenn was one of those people that say, "Oh, Robbie's not a one-trick pony." And by the way, Glenn, if you didn't say this, I apologize for putting words in your mouth. Robbie Anderson is a one-trick pony, and I really always liked Robbie Anderson from the jump. If you look at some of my old tweets, I really did. Mm-hmm. We were at training camp practice watching him as a UDFA, liking the kid. But he was only really good at one thing. It's just it.
And that good thing over the top like opened up some of the intermediate routes. Like he was not good at intermediate routes, but because guys were playing so far off and they would open their hips up so early that he would be afforded some room on the comebacks, on the digs and things like that he could catch, but he also alligator arm stuff. Obviously he wasn't very strong. I still remember, I don't know what game it was, but he ran an end around and I was just like, why run? He can't cut laterally.
They did one of those in the
Lions
game, Darnold's rookie year. I remember they did one of those.
Yeah.
A couple other games too.
Yeah. And I see some people asking about some things too. I'll get to some of these these topics. So we'll continue to run through these. Offensive line ranking over under 20.5.
This is a tough one to answer because I feel like if you don't really watch a lot of the offensive line super close, you're kind of like you're kind of guessing a little bit. But I would say under. And I have a lot of respect for Brandon Thorne. And if you looked at his rankings, he didn't have one lineman on the Jets ranking above a 4th tier, which I thought was a little disappointing. And he's a Broncos fan, so he's watched a lot of McGovern very closely. And I was surprised to see him ranking Connor McGovern in the 4th tier for centers.
Maybe he's a little salty.
Maybe he's a little salty left. I don't know.
I don't agree with that at all. And I do obviously I'm not comparing myself to anybody, but from what I've seen from the film, 4th tier, I don't know where you fall in the 4th tier. But
I was very surprised to see that. Very, very surprised to see that. So
we're going to chalk that up to saltiness. I also have worse just because of, like I said, the pandemic, all that stuff. If it was a normal offseason, I think it could be better than that. But just with everything factored in this year, I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think those preseason games are very, very, very valuable for offensive line play.
And just extra snaps in the summer, trying to force feed guys the offense and how to play with each other for 2 weeks before you go and play the Bills and the Niners is concerning. It just is. So, but even if it goes from 31st to 23rd, that's a huge step up from what it was last year. Last year it was historically bad. Like it's the worst I've ever seen the Jets offensive line. So
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Exactly. So I think if they're 22, or 21, you're going up 10-ish spots, which would be fantastic. Will they even be there? I'm not sure. Defensive breakout star.
Quinnen Williams.
Same. Conan Williams. And this is the guy that people ask me about. This is going to be, again, more of a talking point show. I do hours and hours and hours of film. Anybody you want to see, you can pretty much, for the people who are listening to this now and who haven't really checked out the channel, you're just getting me from Jets Talk 24/7 the other day or whatever. Go to Google, type in Blewett and a player's name, and a film review is most likely going to pop up of him. I did a 2+ hour show on Quinnen Williams, his technique, all that stuff, and super impressed with him in college last year. Again, I think he was a little bit overzealous with his hands. I think he started to lean into his hands. He wasn't trusting his eyes, where this year I just want to see him trust his eyes and attack a little bit more, and I think he will make more of an impact. But we've seen plenty of guys their first years at defensive tackle not make a big impact, whether it be Geno Atkins or Gerald McCoy. They all had really similar stats to Quinnen Williams. So I think he will take a big step up, and especially considering he's 21 years old coming into the league, so he's a young kid. Defensive rookie of the year, Kyle.
Defensive rookie of the year.
I'll tie this into it. Somebody said Leon Feeder. I think Fetter says love Blitz. Appreciate that. You weren't that high on Ashton Davis after the draft. He's getting rave reviews across the board. What are your impressions now deep into preseason? This corresponds with this player for me, at least, because I said defensive rookie of the year is him. He's kind of the only guy you could really pick, in my opinion, in this position, unless you think Zuniga is going to make a big impact. But I think for the Jets front seven.
What about Bryce Hall?
He's injured. He's still injured, so he's not even practicing yet. Like he's not even going to play the first game, most likely. He got taken off the injured.
Are they going to put him on the reserve designated for return?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I think he will play this year, but I don't think he's going to make a big impact early into the year. Like maybe it's like a Bless Austin type situation where you see him more midpoint to the end of the year. I think that's what's going to happen, especially coming back from the injury he had, which was a devastating injury for him. So I think he'll come back midpoint of the year. So I think if he was healthy, yeah, it's him, because I think he could be, and I think if healthy and he still plays like he was in college, I think he's going to be a starting cornerback for the Jets. I really, really like that pick as well. But I think Davis wins it kind of by default because there's no really other options. Again, Zuniga's in a really talented front seven, so I don't think he's going to get a ton of playing time. Hall is hurt. So who else could win it? So Davis, and like Leon is asking, he has impressed me so far, what I've been hearing. Again, I'm not there to look at exactly what's happening in camp, if he's reading things, if he's leveraging over top of route concepts like he wasn't doing in college as much as he should have. Is he staring into the quarterback's eyes? Is he getting interceptions because of athleticism, or is he getting interceptions because of him reading the play, the route concepts, things like that, anticipation? Because Kyle, I know you watched that show. There was a lot of film there that showed athleticism, but not a lot of smarts upstairs. So
by the way,
he will win it, and so far I'm impressed.
So I mean, your criticisms of him was strictly based on film. You weren't criticizing his coachability, right? I mean, because one of the things that people praise about him coming out is he's a very coachable kid, very nice kid that's dealt with adversity and handled it very well. You weren't criticizing any of that crap. So part of the thing that coaches like is he's very attentive to detail. He's very coachable. I like coaching him. He's playing hard on the field. You never question how hard he's playing. You just question, does he have the instincts and does he have the actual ability? And here's the thing too. Okay, so what's one reason you might not be knocking him during training camp? How many of these practices are live, right, where you're bringing guys to the ground? He's a shit tackler right now. I'm just being honest. He kind of is a shitty tackler. Okay, so he's not having to tackle people right now. So if it was a live practice where he had to bring some guys down and, let's say he tried to square up with a guy and just, gave a dog shit tackle and missed him. Okay, then some coaches might get on his ass or whatever. Or maybe some beat reporters are saying, oh, Ashton Davis got trucked. But you're not seeing that because it's not live. So, even though he's getting some rave reviews right now, come game time, you might start seeing some of the flaws in his game. But, hey, listen, the kid does have potential. There's no doubt about that. He is very athletic and he does play hard. So you combine those two things, he could develop into something nice.
Yeah, I don't want to even pull up the film right now because I'm not sure if I can. Like, I got to figure out this YouTube live stuff. I don't want to screw it up and then lose the stream and everybody's booted out. I don't want to piss people off. But again, another show I did, there's plenty of plays I put up there of him locked onto the quarterback, not leveraging over route concepts. the play I just pulled up on my screen that I didn't share. Remember that play at the end of the one, or at the end of the review, Kyle, where one of the receivers is over the middle. He tips it up to himself. The ball is kind of behind him. He tips up to himself. Ashton Davis goes for the interception. The receiver catches the ball because Ashton Davis was diving for the interception and not actually hitting the receiver before he went for the ball. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna say we're gonna test it out. You know what? It's a test run.
Because
I'm gonna pull it up. Again, I'm not going to do too much film here, but just in terms of talking about his instincts and stuff like that. And this is pretty simple that I'm going to pull up. It's really not. I don't know if these people on YouTube Live can see this or not. I'm hoping they can.
I can see it. That's for sure.
Let me see. Let me know in the chat if you guys can see this. Again, this is I'm running through this for the first time, so I'm not too sure. So let me know if you can see this. But and again, I don't want to break down snap by snap what he's going to be doing. Somebody put in. Okay, so. This is the play I'm talking about. See him dive for the ball right there, coming from deep. There's just some things that okay, somebody says looking good. Okay, so they can see it. Again, I broke this all down, so I don't want to do a ton of it, but in situations like this, you got to take out the receiver first.
Yeah, that's a really bad play.
Exactly. So you're diving for the interception, the receiver can still catch it, and now he catches the ball for a first down. And I believe this was on. Okay, so this is 3rd and 17. Listen, he hits them. They get off the field. Now it's, first and 10 from the 20-yard line instead of him just making that play. So there's plays like that. There's one more I want to pull up again. And
Marcus May is not making it. Marcus May is going to level that guy.
So this is the thing. I'm not here to shit on anybody in terms of Jets players, but if you're new to the show, if you're new to the film reviews that I do, I don't hold stuff back like this. So if you want to see the player that I actually see when I'm watching this stuff, I'm going to break down leverages and concepts and all that stuff for you guys. But I'm not going to say, oh, Davis is fast. I saw that Matt Miller, who I don't think knows a lot, likes him. I'm not pulling a lot of punch. I'm not going to say too much things showing up people, but there's guys like Matt Miller out there who I question a lot of their stuff. So I'm not going to just pull back, but let me, I'm trying to pull up another. I'm not going to pull up another play.
Matt Miller said that Josh Allen is, quote, so damn special.
Why?
I'm just saying he said that pre-draft. I just remember that.
Okay, this is the play I wanted to. I was not going to pull it up, but just because I found it quickly. Again, there's like 30-something plays, so I don't want to get too much lost into this stuff. But you remember this play, Kyle? If you're watching Ashton Davis on the right hash right here.
This is where he takes a really bad angle. Oh yeah, what is that?
So there's a crack block coming in from the right side of the screen. So this is where I say like distracted by contact. If this guy is blocked, I don't know what happened exactly with this offensive lineman. If he wasn't able to get leverage or whatever it was, which he was not. 93 did a good job scraping down the line of scrimmage. But if this defensive lineman didn't make this play, this is a 80, 70-yard touchdown because Ashton Davis just got distracted by a crack block and dropped his shoulder into that when he should be filling on that hash.
Hey,
so I don't know what the hell he's doing here.
Do you remember? I mean, Jamal Adams is really good in the run game, but do you remember when they played the Vikings and I forget that running back's name. He only played like a year or two with the Vikings. He used to be with the Raiders, excuse me. And he had a pretty long rushing touch. Yeah. Didn't Jamal Adams make a stupid play like that? Like what Ashton Davis just did on that long touchdown run?
Try to lay the hit, yeah. No, that could have been a touchdown run, yeah.
Like, okay, I understand making contact with a guy when you're a force player in the box, but out in the open like that, that's just dumb.
So it's funny too. Steven, again, I'm not here to pull too many punches, but defense top 12, I could see that prediction. We will talk about that. The entire offense will be middle of the pack this year. That's a high expectation. I don't think the offense will be middle of the pack this year.
They just don't have enough firepower.
They don't have enough. That plus the injuries, plus the new offensive line that schedule they're going against. I don't see that. Optimistic. I love the optimism, but again, I don't see it. The most disappointing player on defense. Again, let's do this like a little bit lightning round, Kyle.
Okay. Most disappointing defensive player. Let me pull up my list just so it'll help me a little bit. Most disappointing defensive player.
Did you see that I said superlatives and then you made your own list?
No. You asked me to make a 53 roster prediction, so I wrote down all the names.
Yeah. You gotta run through
that too. Blake Cashman. I mean, people envision. I saw Connor Hughes tweet out, "Oh, they like Cashman. Cashman is good." No, he's not. I don't think he's good. So
I'll always remember. That's like one of the things I'll always remember about the stats guys. I'm like you said, I watch most of the shows.
He never missed a tackle his senior year.
The first thing I heard, everybody on Twitter, he'd never missed a tackle. The first play I watched, he missed a tackle. I was like, what is
that analytic website better be? They should just be forced to file for bankruptcy. That analytics website.
Yeah, I don't get it. And it wasn't like a tackle like, oh, he had to fill here and he didn't. It was like a legitimate missed tackle. Like he actually got hands on the guy and missed. So I don't get it. Cheese Boys ask, and I'll ask you this. I'll throw this to you quickly. Why is Josh Allen quarterback so overhyped and overrated? I
said it in the last
show.
He's on
a playoff team. He's on a playoff team. He's on a really good team that I think with any quarterback, they would pretty much make it. He's not Mark Sanchez, but he fits in that Mark Sanchez role. He's not that good of a quarterback, but he's being carried by a really good team. Good coaching, and he's exciting. You know, he could break an 80-yard run because of his legs. He could truck over guys. So I think for the people who are casual football fans, they see that.
Yeah, and even his rookie year, like he went.
Kyle. Oh, sorry, what you're watching that Gore film, dude. Some of the plays I could have put up of him just throwing shit off of his back foot into double coverage was like terrible. And then it was like, oh, penalty, he got saved. Like he was not good last year for the Bills. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. If you go back on my Twitter, I got pictures of me on draft day wearing a shirt that says "Don't draft Josh Allen." I was messaging the damn Jets Twitter account every day saying "Don't draft Josh Allen." I fucking hate Josh Allen. My brother betted me yesterday because he's a Bills fan and he's fucking cocky as shit. And he's like, I'll bet you that the Bills beat the Jets by 2 scores. And I was like, I don't think I think the Bills are going to win week 1. I hope they won't. And I'm like cautiously optimistic that we can win, but I don't think the Bills are going to win by 2 scores. And the reason why is they have a really good defense. They're very well coached. Josh Allen blows. I said it. And yeah, I mean, like he does, like people are going to totally misconstrue this because I don't mean that. Like he has a little bit of that thing in him that can make a quarterback elite. And what I'm saying is the ability to improv, right? When shit breaks down, Russell Wilson creates shit. When shit breaks down, Patrick Mahomes creates shit. And it's like Aaron Rodgers, same thing. It's like sometimes, a play is designed in structure to kind of give you something, but it's like you got to make something happen on your own. Josh Allen can kind of do that. He had like a really nice play against the Patriots in a primetime game where he kind of ad-libbed and made like a nice throw out of the pocket, squeezed it in between 2 defenders. His rookie year, he hurdled Anthony Barr in Minnesota. I mean, like he's got that size and stuff, but if you just watch his tape consistently, poor mechanics, bad footwork. Even though he's got this strong arm, he's a terrible deep ball thrower because he's got no touch on the ball. He's just not a good quarterback, from a snap to snap basis. He'll give you some highlights, but yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not very good again. I see the questions, so I'll run through some of those. I did the Sear. Somebody said one of the corners. I agree with that.
I thought about him too, but I didn't.
I think he's hyped up like he could be number 1. Again, he gives me those 2017 Morris Claiborne vibes where he's not necessarily the fastest, smooth hips, long arms, can press when he's asked to do it, but he's too consistently plays in that soft shoe technique where he doesn't get a shuffle and he doesn't get his hands on. I think he could be an okay number 2 at best, but that's all you're getting out of him. So I think he's going to disappoint. And plus he's battling some injuries right now. The best player on defense, I said McClendon. Listen, I know he's not a run and this could be Quinnen Williams, but the best player, I honestly had a tough time between McClendon, Fatukasi, and Quinnen Williams and Marcus May maybe a little bit, but McClendon's such a savage that people don't see all the time. He is such a good run defender that I think just based on what he's asked to do, I think McClendon's the best defensive player this year.
I'll say Quinnen, best defensive player this year.
Okay.
But I love McClendon too.
Defensive assistant, coach of the year. I said Andre Carter, the defensive line coach. He's developing some guys. That's basically my reasoning.
But I could pick Greg Williams though, can I? I don't have to pick a positional coach. I could pick an assistant as a defensive coordinator. Oh yeah, Greg Williams.
Okay, that's fine. DVOA for the defense, over or under 12.5?
Losing Jamal Adams. I'll say under.
I think under 2, just for, again, losing Jamal Adams. Mosley's not not here. And a lot of people say, oh, well, they added some guys and, they have Williamson back, which I agree with. The defensive line's going to take steps in the right direction. Shepard's going to continue to get better. Fadakasi, Quinn Williams are all taking steps up in the right direction. You added Zuniga. So you have some guys. You added Ashton Davis. You have McDougald. But now they're playing, better teams. Let's be completely frank. Last year, they're playing teams like the Bengals.
Seahawks, really good offense.
Yeah, the Steelers without Big Ben. So I think they're going to be under that. I don't think they're too far under that, but I do think they'll be worse than that. Special teams best player.
Braden Mann.
I said Ashton Davis. I think he's a good guy for special teams. I don't think a lot. Go blow up a play. I think it'll be him with his speed. But Braden Mann is I still have this shirt. I don't know. I was wearing this the other night. I don't know if you could see this.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Get to X Factor if you want that. Maybe I'll give that away, but not my used shirt. Special teams most disappointing. I said whoever the kicker is, it's going to be Ficken. This is one thing I want to address a little bit. Well, we can do it now. I don't get Joe Douglas's kicker philosophy. There's plenty of guys out there right now who I think should be brought in at least for workouts. Like even if they don't prove to be better than Ficken, which I think I'd have a hard time imagining. You have Hauschka, who in a down year last year kicked above 85%. You have Gostkowski out there, who I know didn't kick a lot last year. He had some injuries or whatever it was, but his career percentage is high 80s. There's another guy out there who was signed to the Jets and try out. And then you have Ficken, who kicks 70.4%. So I don't get the kicker thing. I don't know what's with it.
Yeah, me neither, man. And Gostkowski's hit some really, really, really big time kicks to win games.
Yeah.
Whereas
exactly.
Whereas Ficken, didn't he choke in some big time situations last year?
I'm sure we can go back. He only made 7 out of 10 field goals. So there's plenty of, and the people who say kicker don't matter.
7 out of 10. That's it.
No, I'm saying 7 out of 10.
Okay,
70%.
Yeah, 70%,
so listen, if the Jets had a better kicker last year, Vedvik makes that kick or whatever during the Bills game. I think he missed
just one. He just needed to make one. He missed at least 2 easy kicks.
I think he miss 2 and
he missed an extra,
or was it?
I'm saying one of the kicks was okay, it's reasonable to miss that kick, but I think he missed 3 kicks overall, and 2 of them were layups. One of them was an extra point.
Moving on, special teams DVOA over under 5.5. I know they were 5 last year, right around 5. This is hard to this is hard to evaluate. I'm going to say worse because of the kicker. If that factors into it, I'm saying because of the kicker, it's going to be a shit situation. They're going to be under.
Yeah, I also don't know if that factors into it, but I would say that too.
Yeah,
and plus, Mann is a rookie too, so.
Yeah, exactly. Most effective cornerback. I think we're both going to agree with this one.
Most effective cornerback? Brian Poole.
Yep, for sure. That's what I said too. I think Austin's taking steps in the right direction, but again, this is another guy who I think is a little bit overhyped by fans. I think he had a decent mid part of the season, and for what he was, a 6th, 7th round pick who was injured, he came in and impressed the hell out of me, to be completely honest. But to think he's gonna be a lockdown number 2 or number 1 corner right now, I think is you're hyping him up way too much. In my opinion, I think he can develop into that. I like his makeup. I like his mindset. I like his physicality at the line. I like how strong he is. I like that stuff, but he's a second-year player who didn't get a lot of snaps throughout the year. So he has to develop some. So playoffs. So did the Jets make the playoffs?
No,
I said the same thing. Is Gase back in 2021? This is a question that people have asked. And again, I see your questions in the chat. I'm going to lightning around those questions. We're going to go through them really, really quickly. Is Gase back in 2021?
I would say no.
I said, yeah. This is a conversation I don't want to get into because it's such a long one. Ideally, Gase is back. The Jets play well. Darnold doesn't have to learn a new, his 4th system or 3rd system in 4 years. And now you're going into the territory where he gets fired. You have a new coordinator. You have new coaches for everybody pretty much.
Ideally, he gets Lincoln Riley.
Well, my problem is with the Jets getting a new coach. Obviously, the Jets aren't ready to win under Darnold's contract, so they really wasted that. There's not a lot of teams who win after that second year that second deal is signed, so I'm really concerned about that. And now Darnold's gonna have to learn 3rd system in 4 years. It is concerning for sure, but I don't think I said yes just because I don't know why necessarily. I think they will win some games, but I also don't think that Gase is tied to the hip. With Douglas, like some people.
He hired Douglas. Douglas didn't hire him.
Exactly.
And who's in the better graces of the organization right now? Douglas.
And who has a longer contract?
Douglas.
Listen, and like they passed each other in Chicago. They were there for a year together. But listen, I know Kyle really well. Kyle's one of my good friends. But if I'm making a $20 million contract, whatever Douglas is making, and Kyle's my head coach and Kyle sucked, sorry, Kyle, you're fired, bro. Like, it is what it is. I'm sure Douglas is smart enough to know that if he's not producing as a coach, he's going to get fired. And if he's that dumb to keep him on, then that's that. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I'm hoping he's fired.
I hope he has autonomy to make the freaking decision.
That's the question with the ownership. Yeah, the Jets ownership needs to change. Biggest blowout win for the Jets in 2020.
Can I look at? Can I pull up the schedule?
This is what we're gonna do. We did this too for the website. I'm gonna do this with you again. Lightning round. I don't want any reasons of why, or maybe like a sentence. We're gonna do a schedule real quick. At the Bills.
Oh, we're doing this right now.
Go ahead. We're doing it right now. It takes 2 minutes.
Fuck. I hate to say this, but I'll say the Bills.
Okay.
I hate the Bills.
Versus the 49ers.
49ers. So wait, where aren't you saying this too?
Oh, sorry. I said for the Bill. I already did this. The Bills is a loss for me too.
Okay.
And Niners is a loss for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're going to beat the Colts.
At the Colts, I agree. Okay. Broncos. Home.
I think I fucking Drew Lock. I think he sucks. I think they'll beat the Broncos.
I have the same thing. Okay. Cardinals home.
I think they're going to win that too.
I said an L. And somebody brought that up in the chat too. I forget who it was. That the Cardinals have a good defensive front too. Like you have Chandler Jones, who I think is the best rusher in the NFL right now.
He's really good. But who else do they have on that D line?
I don't know, but they have Chandler Jones.
Yeah, they do. But okay, fucking keep a running back in to help Becton every play. But the thing about Chandler is he can go on both sides too.
He could do anything. He could play interior too. He's a monster. At Chargers.
By that point, Herbert might be playing, and he sucks. They'll win that game.
Tyrod sucked the last time we played him too. I said W there too.
He was really bad in that game. Thursday Night Football.
Home against the Buffalo Bills.
Damn, I got them on a winning streak right now, and they can't really lose to the Bills twice, can they? Josh Allen.
I said
a win.
Lose. I said they're gonna lose. Unfortunately, I was being honest. At Kansas City, I'm not gonna ask. That's an L. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they'll get blown
home
out.
against the Pats.
They'll lose.
Home against the Pats. Okay. At the Dolphins.
What did you say against the Pats?
I said W. I gave them a W against the Pats.
Okay. In Miami, they'll lose.
And then bye week, and then in MetLife, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Okay, I said the same thing. Raiders.
I think Derek Carr kind of sucks too.
Me too.
I like their offensive line though, and I think that Mayock's done a pretty good job there. And it's in the Jets are good against the Raiders at home, not good in Oakland, but they are home, so I'll go with a win there. Man, I got them as a pretty good record right now. Man.
Wow. At Seahawks. L.
Yeah, definitely.
If there's one
suck.
game,
the Jets suck.
If there's one game I want the Jets to win, this is my playoffs. I want them to beat Jamal Adams so damn bad. At the Rams.
Loss.
I said a win. I don't think the Rams are very good. And I think Jared Goff is largely overrated. Home against the Browns.
Good. Actually, after looking at the schedule, I'm a little bit more optimistic as to how they can perform this year.
There you go. Home against the Browns.
Yeah, what happened to Baker last year, man? I really liked him his rookie year, and I really liked his college tape.
I don't know. I didn't watch the film.
Truthfully, I think I don't know much about Stefanski either. They could win this game, but I got them as too good of a record right now, so I'll say a loss. At
Patriots, last game of the year.
Loss.
I said a loss to the Browns, by the way. I just think the Browns, I think they were coached poorly last year, and I think that their talent on that roster, they have talent freaking everywhere.
Yeah, and I know you hate Myles Garrett, but he's really good.
Yeah, he's good. The defense is good. The weapons are good. Austin Hooper coming in.
Is Sheldon Richardson still there?
I think so. So I have them at 7-9. Let's see. What do you have them at? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins. Is that what we have?
Let me see.
Wow, you have them winning week 3, 4, 5.
I had them on a winning streak.
7, and then have them losing pretty much the rest of the season, minus the Dolphins and Raiders. So you have them at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have them at 7, 9. So do I have them at 7 and 9 too. So with that being said, the biggest blowout win I have them having is the Dolphins, and at home after they lost to them in Miami or vice versa, whatever it is. I think they play them first in Miami, then the bye week, then Jets, and then the biggest blowout loss is the Chiefs.
That's fair. Biggest blowout win for me, I'd say against the Colts.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, who do the Colts really have, man? On their defense, they got Leonard, but like who else really? You know,
yeah,
Cooker never really lived up to hype.
It's their offensive line that's just really, really good for that team. And Hilton's consistently hurt, so I think they're a little bit overrated too. But they're like their offensive fronts are so good in terms of their offensive line.
I think it's a pretty good fit with Rivers because he's such a statue.
He needs an offensive line.
Yeah,
he sucks though too. I don't know why they wouldn't look in.
His arm is washed at this point, but
yeah,
the dude is a super competitive and he throws with anticipation, processes quick, but yeah, he didn't have the arm anymore.
Dr. Cas Assassin, whatever the hell your name is, it's weird spelled. Do you think Adam Gase will be here next year? Where you answered that let's see. Somebody said Quincy Wilson is only good at man coverage is a huge lie, isn't it? Because Quincy Wilson is not particularly good at man coverage. I did a review of him again. If you want to go back and watch, I think he's a guy who
he's fine in cover two.
Yeah, cover two, press man versus like tight ends. I'm comfortable with him because he's not necessarily the most fluid athlete, but he's strong. His technique is a little bit lacking at the line of scrimmage where he will open his gate, open his hips up a little bit too soon. But with tight ends, he can recover. So I like him getting physical versus tight ends. He's kind of interesting. Like he's like more of like he's like a cover two cloud corner, but like a safety as well, where he can play in hook zones. He can play the curl to flat. He's kind of versatile, he's an interesting player, and he's super involved in the run game. So I do like that.
I feel like if he's a player that really gets coached up well, he could actually and stays healthy. He could actually turn into a pretty good player.
He's like 6'1", 6'2", 210. He has the physical capabilities. Again, speed is not the most important thing at every position. It's just not. So there's plenty of guys. Richard Sherman's a good example of not the most speediest guy. Even Revis wasn't the most speediest guy who was a really good corner. Obviously, there's plenty of guys out there who aren't the most speedy. Adam says, who is the most valuable player on the Jets right now? I think everybody's a single person here and in the chat would agree it's Sam Darnold as of right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's see what else we got in here before. Left tackle is always the most valuable player. That's not necessarily true if the left tackle is bad. It's one of the most important positions, but what about the quarterback?
Quarterback is definitely the most important. It's not even close.
I'm trying to see if there's anything in here that I'm seeing. It's more of a good question. Bless Austin looks like a cover 3 corner. I haven't seen him play like enough to like really judge that. Last year I tapped out at a certain point in the year where I'm not going to do that again this year because the Jets suck. But cover 3 off, yeah, I'm sure I'm fine with that. But cover 3 press where he has to flip and run with guys, not the most comfortable. But I think in an off situation where he could leverage himself and stack routes, I'm fine with that. I don't want him pressing in cover 3 though, like how the Seahawks used to do. How do you think? Joe, how do you think about Lincoln Riley here? Kyle talked about it. Kyle wants Lincoln Riley here. He's one of the most highly sought after college coaches, but I don't think I don't know if I would leave a cushy job like he has to come to the Jets.
No, it doesn't make sense for him to leave at all. And he's shown no indications that he really wants to. And supposedly there's a rumor that if he were to leave, it would only be for the Dallas job. And now they just gave that to McCarthy. So I don't even think he'd want to come to the Jets, even if he did have aspirations to leave for the NFL. I mean, truthfully, the way college is right now, you could just make just as good of money there. So, and with more job security, become a legend there. You're totally 100% like responsible for like all the players that you get in and they can fit your system. Whereas at the NFL, you got to make sure that you can work with a GM and whether or not you're going to have a good relationship. Anyway, sorry, this is not fast fire. So
no, it's okay. It's okay. We're running through it. Biggest blowout week 1 at Bills. Sure. If that's what you think, Delgado, it looks like. Let's see. Drew Lock is a stud. Same guy said that. I don't agree with that. I didn't see a lot in those games, to be completely honest. Miami is easy. What else we got in here? Kyle.
Why would someone? Okay, if you say Drew Lock's a stud, okay, you heard me saying that he wasn't. Like, provide evidence that he is.
No, we will. I'm telling you on this show, though, we're going to ask you for evidence. I want people to back up.
I did say him. I did see him make a really nice throw in his debut. I think it might have been against the Texans. he fit a ball in between two defenders in the end zone. It was a really nice throw.
Wilson could be a zone guy. I think Wilson press zone, like Kyle said, with cover two. I'm good with that. And a lot of people think that cover two press, like playing that curl to flat, is for the guys who are not athletic, but you have to have really good explosion to play from the line of scrimmage to that 15 to 20 yards back. If you're covering up for the corner, if there's deep developing concepts, like if they're running like a flood concept, and let's say the deep corner, or not the deep corner, the deep safety, the deep half has to pick up obviously the deep corner route, and then the corner kind of is stuck on an island between that out and the flat or the bench route, whatever it may be. You have to have really good explosion to play that intermediate to the shallow or shallow to intermediate. So it's not necessarily just for guys who are unathletic, but him getting his hands on it, I like that. Him rerouting guys, I like that. Zone over the middle, like hook zones, I'm okay with that. I don't think he has the best like mental processing and things like that, so he might get beat over his head a little bit there behind him on let's say a drive concept, whether it be the dig under or over the top, whatever it may be. I don't think he's necessarily the fastest processor, but he's physical enough to get involved in the run game. So he's kind of weird. Like I said, cover two guy, hook zone in the middle, press on tight ends, man on running back. So he's like a safety corner hybrid. He's not necessarily like a deep corner or anything like that. He's going to turn around with guys. 2 tight end sets this year with crippled wide receiver core. What do you think about that? That's what Byron asked.
I mean, truthfully, the NFL has been running a lot more 12 personnel as of lately.
It always goes back and forth.
You look at the NFL 4, 5, 6 years ago, it was a lot of 11 personnel, which Gase is really a big, heavy 11 personnel coach.
Yeah.
But in the past 2-3 years, it's been a lot more 12 personnel. The year the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it was really 12 personnel that kind of saved their season. So, you got Herndon, who you definitely want to see a lot. And then you got Wesco, who's apparently impressed a lot at camp, looks like a different player. And then Griffin, he's a reliable player.
Yeah.
Kind of a shitty blocker, but whatever. I mean, I guess he
did better. He did better. Are you talking about Griffin?
Yeah, I think he's a pretty crappy blocker, to be honest.
Yeah. Other than that, let's see what else is in here. Wilson, listen, like I said, I still think it's gonna be heavy 11 personnel. So I see somebody else asking that, like, our bets on the heaviest used personnel. I think it's still going to be 11 because that's what Gase has run his entire career. So he is a heavy 11 personnel guy. A lot of trip sets too with the 11 personnel. He likes to run ISO on the backside. So I'm hoping like a guy like Mims could take that spot and be that true backside number one. Yeah, so because I think Perriman too is more developed with his route running, so you want him being the Z, be more involved with concepts and things like that. So he'll be on the trip side. I think Mims will be that ISO receiver on the backside.
But I like that with Perriman, you could put him there too.
You could, yeah. You definitely have the flexibility to do that for sure.
You wouldn't want to do that with Robbie Anderson, though.
I think they will run more 12 personnel than they did last year because they have Griffin, they have Wesco. It's just not going to be the overemphasized personnel.
Yeah, you won't see it more than 11. Definitely not.
No, definitely not. Other than that, offcuts, would we rather have John Ross, Samuel, or Sanu? Who is Samuel? Curtis Samuel? I don't think he's getting cut. If he is, great, grab him. Sanu, we're going to get to that. So he was cut by the Patriots. I don't know. I didn't watch him last year. His route running is really, really good. But if they cut him, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. And I don't quite get why they cut him. They gave up a second round pick to get him.
I forget, honestly. Delgado said Drew Lock isn't actually a stud. It was tongue in cheek. Okay.
Wait, so we were talking about Sanu, and then the other one, who's the other? John Ross?
Yeah.
See, I don't think we need a player like John Ross, though, because Perriman and Mims both got really, really, really good deep speed. So I don't think we need to stretch the field type of guy. I am more intrigued by Sanu, and Gase is pretty good with trick plays. I like Gase's trick plays. So you put Sanu in, Sanu could be that guy. You give him an end around who can throw a pass. He is really good at, and by the way, Sanu played football in New Jersey, and I saw him play in high school. He was a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like the idea of having him on that team just for that reason. I kind of don't know why things didn't work out in New England. It is harder for receivers to adapt in New England. Chad Johnson had a really tough time in New England. Remember how bad he was when he went there? even Eric Decker too. He said he was really struggling when he went up to New England to try to learn that system. So it's kind of
somebody
confusing.
asked. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just trying. I don't know why things didn't really work out for Sanu there.
Somebody said thoughts on Herndon's blocking TJ Decker. I think it's okay. Somebody said he's 31 and forgets Sanu. I don't think every piece you bring in has to be a long-term piece. I think helping Darnold this year on a 1-year contract is something that I'm interested in doing. For the defense, I don't necessarily want to bring in old guys. I want to roll that cap over into next year, but helping Darnold is important. So if Sanu could be that 4th, 5th guy instead of Jeff Smith or Dante Moncrief, I'm fine with
Chesson?
that. Yeah, I don't know who some of the guys are. Curtis Samuel can get cut. Yeah, he can get cut. I don't think he will. No injury. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so nothing else really. Again, you can call in if you want. Again, we have 75 people in here. So for the first show, I'm happy with 75 people. Again, if you do want to call in and discuss a topic for a couple minutes, 818-573-5427. But moving on from that, some quick topics, then we'll get into, oh yeah, by the way, for the people who aren't here, if you do listen to the show, pick'ems. I'm going to do a weekly thing where every single week of the season, I'm going to be breaking down films like you saw with the Ashton Davis stuff. Obviously, I get it more in depth than I did the Davis thing. That was really quick, but I'm going to be doing a breakdown of every single game, whether it be 30 to 50 plays. At the end of that game, I will be doing a pick'em where I'm going to pick like 5-6 games of that week. And then if you beat myself and Marcus, I'm going to send you 2 free shirts and a free year subscription to JetX. So it's like, $90 value, whatever you hear on the commercials. And it's going to be fun. So I want to talk some shit against you guys and be in the pick'em league. So if anybody wants to join, let me know. But moving on to the other topics before we get into the 53-man roster, which we'll do quickly too. Some of the news. I wanted to ask you about Adams, but I really don't anymore, just because it's kind of people have talked about it a ton. I'm sure you're gonna agree with me. He was a baby. They need to get rid of him. They got awesome trade compensation for him. I'm pretty much that's going to be your opinion, right, Kyle?
Yeah, we talked about him being a baby, and I said that even before they traded him. Yeah, they really did.
That's pretty much it.
Good compensation.
Yeah, they need to trade him. Steven said somebody called.
And now you don't have to. And now you don't have to pay him all that money.
Exactly. Somebody call in. I want to hear Joe rip how little knowledge you have compared to him. That's not what's gonna happen. Maybe. So other than that, Hogan. What do you think about the Hogan signing? What do you think about his film after watching my show?
I really like that signing. I'm a fan of Chris Hogan. Yeah. I watched a lot of Chris Hogan when he was with the Patriots. Dude, he's a really good blocker. And that's something that you didn't highlight in your show, which understandably so. He's a minor piece to this Jets team at 32 years old or whatever he is.
People get mad at me for highlighting wide receiver blocking. I usually do it, but I just wanted to keep that show really short. So I didn't want to do a 20-play review of Hogan and have blocking in it.
Dude, he's kind of like that reliable dude that, so first of all, he's not going to be a problem in the locker room. Right. He's not one of these guys who's kind of like a malcontent, like thinking like, oh, I've done a lot of shit in this league and I'm coming in here with my chest out and I think I'm better than everyone. No, he's not that type of dude. So he's a good run blocker, solid hands. I don't know what his 40 time is, whatever. I don't even think he had a combine invite, but the dude, I mean, maybe not so much at this point in his career. He had a lot of long touchdowns in New England. Like, he was stacking dudes and getting deep. And, 1 year in New England, he was averaging 20-something yards a catch. A lot of deep touchdowns. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a big part of his game here, but he has that in his game too. But he can also, you put him on like a choice route or whatever, you ask him to run a snag route. He can kind of run whatever you ask him really and do it kind of effectively. I think he's going to be a nice little safety blanket for Darnold. And and if I'm not mistaken, actually, no, I don't. He was in Buffalo already by the time that Gase came to Miami. So I don't think he's got familiarity in Gase's system.
Yeah, Gase really likes those jerk routes too. He did a lot with Crowder, so I'm assuming that Hogan can do some of that too. But
he can, he can. Edelman ran most of that shit in New England, but he can run that stuff.
And I'm not even again, this is from the film breakdown. I don't want to do too much of it. I'm just trying to highlight that he did beat Jalen Ramsey here in 2018 when he actually played. So I like his route running. Obviously, I think he has pretty reliable hands. His catch radius isn't the biggest. His deep speed isn't the biggest. He has a pretty short catch radius where Darnold's gonna have to pretty much hit him right in the chest. But his route running is good. that whip route I got into a lot on that show, like just how he ran that whip route, like having the knowledge of cutting it short. So when he did cut backwards, the guy wasn't going to be impeding him from cutting backwards. So his body wasn't there. Like he has really good understanding of routes where if he were to take that a little bit more deep, like I showed in that film review, and try to cut back, obviously you have to work through a body. So he did a really good job getting the guy to chase him over the top to get him to that angle. I just hit my mic. And then he does a good job. Obviously sinking his hips, turning his instep. And I get into insteps all the time because it seems like people don't understand the instep thing, but works off that insteps and gets back really quickly. So I really like, I like the signing too more after watching his route running. So I think he is a solid number 4 or 5 guy. I don't think he's gonna be number 1. Well, maybe for the Jets this year, depending on injuries, but I think it's a solid signing. What are
they paying? The vet minimum? I mean, I don't know. Something like that, right?
What do you think about the wide receiver position in total? The Moncrief signing, should they bring in somebody, the Juju trade, the Allen Robinson thing? What do you kind of think about?
I would love Allen Robinson. I would love Allen Robinson. The problem is adding someone at this point because I mean, I know they traded for Braylon Edwards, like 2 weeks into the season or whatever in 2009. And Braylon picked up the offense decently fast and was a good piece for the 2 years that he was with the Jets, but it's never easy, and you're never going to maximize that guy's potential. So I kind of wish that if that's something they were going to do, they already pursued that months ago. But shoot, I mean, if you can get Allen Robinson for, a second or a third, I'd strongly consider that. I really like that. But you'd have to re-sign him though. You'd have to give him a contract.
That's the thing. Cause he's like, he's 26 years old, but he's a really, I think a top 15 receiver. I think he's a top 10 receiver. Honestly, if you look at his film, he just plays in Chicago with Mitch Trubisky. So if they were
and Christian shit Hackenberg in college,
listen, if they offered us right now a 2nd round pick, Allen Robinson, and Allen Robinson signs a 4 or 5 year extension with the Jets, I would do it. I think he's a stud. A lot of people talk about Juju. I'll be fine with him signing in free agency, but I don't think the Steelers are going to try to trade him. They're on their last leg right now. They're going to go for it all, I think. This year, maybe next year. So they don't want to trade assets that might help them win. And 2, he's good, but he's not Allen Robinson good. Like Allen Robinson is an absolute stud. And what is it called? He struggled a lot without Antonio Brown, Bell there. Like he struggled a lot last year. I know that Big Ben was out, but he's a solid receiver. He's not a stud wide receiver like Allen Robinson.
He's not a number 1. Allen Robinson is a number 1, not an elite number 1. Like he might not be a top 10 receiver in the league. I mean,
I think Allen Robinson is.
He might be. I mean, I guess he's borderline that area. Juju's nowhere close to there. But
no, I think if Allen Robinson played on the team, he could actually throw him the ball.
You'd like Juju on the Jets, especially because he's got a rapport already with Darnold.
Oh yeah, listen, we're talking about guys like Jeff Smith and Vincent Smith and all these guys. Yeah, of course, I would like Juju. I would just like Allen Robinson more, but I don't necessarily think it's the smartest thing for the Jets to trade assets, but to trade.
Yeah, you don't want to do it out of desperation. Like, we fucked up and didn't get enough firepower at the receiver, so now let's trade up a big asset. Like what they did that shit with Percy Harvin back in Rex Ryan's last year with the Jets. I remember listening to his fat ass on ESPN radio, and like he was real giddy. He's like, it was right around the trade deadline. He's like, all I'm saying is we might add something. Yeah. And shortly later, they pulled the trigger and traded for Percy Harvin. I can't remember what they gave up. Was it a 2nd rounder? A 3rd rounder? What was it?
I don't know. I remember I was getting one of my cars, and I saw it and I was really pumped about Percy Harvin, but he was actually good. He was
exciting. He was an exciting player, but I mean, it was a desperation move. Like, oh shit, we didn't do enough in the offseason to address this. We got to do it now. We got to help our quarterback out. And you traded for him, during midseason, and it's like, it's going to be hard for the receiver to kind of come in and be what he could be if he had an offseason to work with the quarterback and stuff. So I wouldn't be the hugest fan of.
People are saying Kenny Stills. I didn't know he was cut. If they want to bring in Kenny Stills, I
didn't know he was cut either.
I would definitely do that. What's your guess for the record?
Gase loves Kenny Stills. Gase loves Kenny Stills.
Yeah, somebody said, what's your record or what's your guess for the record this year? It's 7-9. We did that before. You must have not been listening the whole time, Jack. I'm ashamed. Chris says being excited for Chris Hogan is proof how sad and depleted our wide receiver talent has been. He's kind of right. I don't know if I'm necessarily excited for him. I just think it's a smart signing. It's not like, holy shit, we got Chris Hogan, but I think for what the Jets, and he's right, for what the Jets receiving core is, it's a good signing. But obviously if they had a good number 1, 2, 3, 4, then we wouldn't be very excited about it. But you got us there, Chris. Somebody else asked, Should we work out Des Bryant? He hasn't played football in 2 years. I don't think he fits the culture. He's a me guy. I don't think so. He's saying that we need big body receivers. We have Mims, we have Perriman, we have guys like Herndon. I don't think they necessarily need more big body guys. Cage or two if he is healthy. I don't think that's necessarily what the Jets necessarily need. It's not like they're lacking big body guys.
Yeah, this idea that what does Kansas City have in terms of big body receivers? Yet they put up points like it's nobody's business. Tyreek's a small dude. Sammy's not a big dude. I understand Kelsey's a tight end, but he's not a receiver. But I'm saying, like, if you look at some of their other guys, like, wow, what the hell's the guy that they just drafted out of Georgia that the Jets tried to get? And they got number
the Chiefs.
Yeah, Mecole Hardman, he's small too. So I'm saying,
he is small,
this idea that you need big guys, no, not necessarily. It's nice to have a guy with a big catch radius, and the Jets have two of those guys already. Perriman's catch radius is pretty big, and Mims has got a huge catch radius.
Mims has a fucking massive catch radius. I love his body makeup and his frame. Like, just the way he extends for balls is ridiculous.
And the way he manages to get his feet down. Yeah, the Jets are good there.
Again, they're speed burners. Hey, Q's one-on-one. Again, I have film reviews of these guys. If you want to go and watch, power to you. They can win jump balls, both of them. They're not speed. They're not Robbie Anderson who just went on speed. They win contested catches, for sure. I could pull up plays now, but I have 70 plays of those guys, so I don't want to be searching through the film. But they could definitely win contested catches for sure. Moncrief, that signing, talking the receiving core. If he's the Moncrief that he was in 2018 with the Jags, and even like the Moncrief he was with the Colts, I'm not sure what happened with him. Like he went to the Steelers, got cut because he was dropping balls, went to the Panthers, got cut, but he was like, I'm not saying he's a good receiver, but when he was with the Colts, I thought he was like a decent, role player. When he was with the Jaguars, I thought he was a decent role player. So if he's that, I'm good with the signing. I don't think it hurts to bring anybody in with Moncrief. He really fell. His play fell really, really quickly. So,
yeah, I don't know either, and I haven't watched a lot of his films, so I can't really say.
Yeah,
I don't think he was there. Go ahead. Yeah, I don't have much to say.
The trade for Balaj, I don't want to hit on too quick. I think it's a special teams type move. I'm kind of happy it didn't go through. He averaged 1.8 yards per carry last year, again, playing behind the worst offensive line in the league. And then, under Gase, he ran 5.2, but like all of that was from a 75-yard run because he had like 180 yards that year. So he really ran for like 3.2 yards per carry or whatever it was. So don't like that trade. I think it's for special teams and to fill the roster out, but they have depth at the running back position. Like even the fourth guy is Josh Adams, who I think Joe Douglas likes. So maybe it was just for training camp. They traded and we're planning on cutting him. I don't know. Next topic, the Yannick thing. Everybody said the Jets should have traded the second round and the fifth round pick or fourth round pick for Yannick. What are your thoughts next? I have a pretty strong opinion on this.
I really like Yannick as a pass rusher, but you're going to have to pay him 20-something million. You can't even give him a contract this year. So there's no certainty if you're going to have him for the long term. Yeah. No, I wasn't a huge fan of that. If they could have, the Jags tagged him last minute. And I remember kind of being like, okay, if he does hit free agency, this is a player that I actually kind of like. And even if he's just a straight up pass rusher, but to give up a second rounder and maybe more, because I think they gave up a second rounder and a conditional pick too. And you can't even sign him. You can't even sign him long term. See, that's when your franchise is bad. When you give up a second rounder for a player, and then you don't even have that player on your team for the long term. So I'm not disappointed that they didn't make that move. And he doesn't really give you much in run support. So, you talk about how the Jets had such a good run defense last year. Okay, if Yannick is playing major snaps on first and second down this year, your running defense is probably not going to be as good as it was last year. So,
yeah, hold on quickly. I want to do this. This is just, and I'm not breaking down the film like I would if I were on a single show. I think, again, people who watch this frequently can attest to that. But this is for the guy who said that he's not you can't win contested catches with with Perriman. So they could do it. Trust me, it's there.
Dude, there's a reason why he was a first round pick. I mean, this is not just a guy who had a fast 40. Yeah. Plenty of guys have fast 40s. Like he has an elite 40 in the 4.2s, but he also does have other aspects to his game, which is why he was a first round talent.
Yeah, I have
And by the way,
Mims,
and one thing about Perriman too, one of his biggest knocks coming out of college was his hands. He had unreliable hands. You put on his tape last year, he's not just not dropping balls, he's catching them with his hands with good technique. He really improved his hands.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not gonna pull the Mims play. I have like 70 plays now. I was getting lost in my Dude, plays. I was trying to look for like ridiculous catch.
You got 2 long film reviews of Mims, and Marcus joined you for maybe both of them, but at least one of them.
One of them again.
You got a lot of shit with Mims, and dude, he's got ridiculous catches littered throughout his whole tape.
Again, for the people who are just turning into this, on those shows, the film shows, it's about the breaks. It's about speed cuts versus square cuts versus BAM steps versus, offensive line. Like we talk things like dual protection and molly blocks and all these things that people don't really know about, and leverages and hand placement and cuff techniques, like all this stuff. If you want to learn about it, go watch the other shows. This is supposed to be more of like a talk show thing, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But the Yannick thing, listen, it would be a dumb move for the Jets to do it. It really dumb. You're trading a second round pick for a guy who wants to be on a winning team. You're going to trade a second round pick and he's going to walk away for a team who's building for the future. Listen, if the Jets were a team who I think is going to get 11 wins this year and can make a Super Bowl run, sure, trade it for Yannick and risk it. But that's not where the Jets are. That's not where they are in their process. So you can't trade a second round pick for a player who I think is good, but he's going to leave next year. That's the one thing. The second thing is he's okay in the run game at best. He doesn't get involved in the run game very much. So for $20 million, I think he's a solid pass rusher, but is not good in the run game. And if you are going last year by stats, he had like 5-6 sacks last year. Like, he's not Khalil Mack. He's not Von Miller. He's not Chandler Jones. He's a solid pass rusher, but he's not somebody to break. I don't think he's going to be worth $20-21 million. Like he's
not an elite pass rusher.
So you're overpaying him because he's not an elite pass rusher and he doesn't get involved in the run game. You're trading assets for a guy who might leave, who's going to leave, and now you just wasted future draft capital, which that second round pick could be a Mims. It could be a Marcus May. Obviously, it could be a Vlad Ducasse or Devin Smith as well, but we have more faith in that in Joe Douglas. So
he has a limited repertoire of pass rush moves too. He's very good with the cross chop, but he doesn't really win with anything else.
Yeah. So okay, moving on. Fournette, it's something that people are talking about again.
You already got one high price running back. Not that you'd have to pay a high price for him, but
that, and you have Fournette, who is like a volume runner. Like, he's one of those guys who beats you up in the first and second quarter, and then you get tired of tackling him, so he goes off in the third quarter. He's not going to get runs like that for the Jets, so he's a guy who you need to get going, and he's going to get a run here and there for the Jets and run into a wall. I don't think it works.
I actually thought he looked very good against the Jets last year.
Fournette
against the Jets,
yeah,
like that was the best. That was the best I've ever seen him look in his NFL career.
Again, I rather develop the young guy.
I don't want him more.
Get Perrine more snaps. Again, this year, obviously we want to see the Jets do well, but I think everybody can agree, and everybody who's watching this should agree, that it's about the guys like Quinnen Williams, Becton, Connor McGovern, Herndon, Darnold. It's about the young pieces. The guys like, and listen, I love McClendon, but the guys like McClendon, Desir, McDougald, I don't really care. Well, maybe McDougald could be signed, but I don't really care about the old guys. This is all about young we and future assets. We don't need to worry about guys who are necessarily older. So somebody else said signings to make. So Jadeveon Clowney. Do you think they should sign Jadeveon Clowney? What's your thoughts on that one?
No, because they're already solid with run stuffing type of players. Jadeveon Clowney is mostly a run stuffer. And truthfully, I think he's better when he's rushing the passer from the interior than coming off the edge. He's kind of really a raw pass rusher coming off the edge this late into his career. So he's never going to be really good with that, even though he's got some elite athleticism. It's just the truth. So he doesn't solve the problem that you have winning off the edge. He doesn't solve that for you. So no.
Yeah, somebody else says with college football, this is Leon again, with college football, a big question mark this year. How much will this impact the Jets and other teams when it comes to the draft? Massive.
I'm so confused. Which
don't even ask me what conferences are playing and stuff.
I don't know.
I'm not tracking it. I don't know either. I'm waiting until it actually happens. I don't know. I'm not privy. But there's a lot of guys. Chase, I think, just opted out. But there's plenty of guys.
Chase,
the wide receiver.
Yeah. Apparently is deadlocked to become the Jet next year.
I'm fine with that. But you have guys like, Baker Mayfield who busted out and was the number 1 overall pick. Joe Burrow was the number 1 overall pick. There's guys, Quinn Williams wouldn't have been a first round pick if he wasn't there.
By the way,
plenty of guys
Chase is really good, but some people are like acting like he's like one of these best receiver prospects to come out in like years, and I'm thinking like, I don't know if he's that good. Like, he doesn't really give you anything after the catch.
Yeah, so I think it limits the guys who are trying to bust out, but for the guys who are well established, obviously they're just going to stay there. But for guys like what's his name, Gregory Rousseau or whatever his name is from Miami, the rusher who needs to prove some more, like he might drop. There's plenty of guys who obviously. There's plenty of guys who were first round type talents like Geno Smith, or I think no, not Geno Smith. There's a couple of guys who were like supposed to be first round picks and they drop really, really far in the draft. Who's the wasn't like a quarterback from like Miami a few years ago who was really highly touted and then fell to like the 5th or 6th round?
Supposedly after his freshman year, Christian Hackenberg was supposed to be a first round pick.
Exactly. So there's plenty of guys who are either going to be really good or who are going to fall this year or not notice and then come up. So yeah, it's going to impact it a little bit, but I do have faith in Joe Douglas, but I'm more worried for the Seattle pick than the Jets picks. I think the top 10 guys are
yes. Yeah, that's the annoying thing about making the trade during this thing is, but I have a thought on that though. I feel like because the uncertainty with who's going to play and maybe some teams don't play and stuff, I feel like that you're going to see a better separation between the good GMs and the bad GMs. And I feel, and I don't know for sure yet, that we do have a good GM. So like, for example, in other years where you have a bad GM, but it's easier for them to make a layup pick because like, okay, this player is just universally accepted as being a good player, a low risk player. I feel like it's going to be easier for the bad GMs to screw up in a year like this, where someone like Douglas, while it's more challenging for him, he's going to be the type of GM that's going to be less likely to screw up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I trust you want the guys who have a real eye for talent, and Joe Douglas seems to have that. So I don't think he's going to reach a lot. I think he's going to be pretty smart with his picks. But a lot of people are saying they like Chase. I like Chase too. If he's there, grab him. I'm fine with that. But it depends who's there. Like if that tackle from what is Oregon or whatever, that huge tackle, like I'm still all offensive.
Oh, he's really good. I would take him over Chase any day.
Yeah, but again, I haven't got to their film, which by the way, I will. Those film breakdowns will come. Other than that, I don't know if there's really anything that people are saying that we haven't really hit on, which we will get to the 53-man roster. A lot of people are agreeing that Clowney's not worth it. I think if you are looking to the long term of this roster, carrying over that cap space, you're adding a run stuffer, and who could be he is a decent pass rusher, but you're adding more of a run stuffing guy to a run stuffing unit. So I don't think it's the smartest thing. Roll over that cap money, and then somebody else said I think Clowney's just cashing out. Quiz or Q's, I don't know how to say your name. I agree with that. He's a player who worries me, especially on a bad team. Well, not a bad team. Let's just say a below average team like the Jets. I think he may, take off some snaps. So I don't like that. It gives me like not necessarily Tremaine Johnson vibes, but Tremaine Johnson vibes. Somebody else asked if we're worried about Conan Williams. What are your thoughts on that one?
Very slightly. I mean, slightly. I was certainly significantly disappointed in his season last year. I thought he was going to come in and be pretty dominant almost from the jump, and he just wasn't. But I think that he kind of overestimated how good he was and how kind of thought that he was going to come in and dominate early in the league. And I think he was humbled. And I think that you can see in the work that he put in the offseason that he's not taking it lightly anymore. Mm-hmm. And he just was really good. He was really good in college against the best type of competition. And it takes defensive linemen, interior defensive linemen, a solid year to develop. So I think that you're going to see a big jump this year, more so than any other player on the Jets in terms of a jump this year. You'll see it from Quinnen. So I am a little bit concerned, but not too concerned.
I'm not very concerned. Again, I think the technique stance that he has, I think he'll develop into it. His body's obviously developing. He's a young guy. He was asked to be that picker more than a penetrating type role last year to eat up blocks instead of penetrating. But I think this year he'll be more of a penetrator as he gets his technique down again. I think he was a little bit overzealous last year, where he's a little bit top heavy, leaning into his hands a little bit too much and wasn't reacting. Where in Bama, He would use that soft stance, react to guys' punches, beat their punch, and then penetrate. Where last year he kind of just was running right into guys and trying to beat them instead of reacting a little bit more. So he was kind of too. He just wasn't playing the same way he played in Bama. So I think he'll be fine. I really, really, really liked his tape at Bama. It was some elite tape he had. Again, in the intro of the show, you're going to hear me talking about Quentin Williams beating two guys using his hands and all that stuff. Like, he would literally fight off two guys' hands at the same time and penetrate gaps. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous.
You've probably never seen better defensive lineman tape in college. Maybe Ndamukong Suh, but you didn't watch it that closely. And
no,
he was really good in college.
I would be more concerned with Quentin Williams if he was more of like an Ed Oliver type, where Ed Oliver won a lot on just based on his explosiveness and his leverage and things like that. Where if he was winning like that, he's getting beat by guys in the NFL. Yeah, I'd be worried. But with a guy like technique, like he has, that technique just doesn't go by the wayside. So if he was a traitsy type guy, I would be worried. And he has the traits. Trust me, he ran like a 4.8 at 300 pounds. So he has the explosiveness, but he won with technique. So I think he will be successful. Again, there's guys, go look up the stats of Sue, or not. I don't think it's Sue's first year. I think it's Geno Atkins, Gerald McCoy, a couple of other guys who all had like 3 sacks, and everybody was concerned about them. But Quentin Williams,
dude from the Chiefs,
in the role. Chris Jones, yeah. They all had like 3, 4, 5 sacks. Quentin Williams had 3.5 sacks, and he missed a couple games with an ankle injury. Had an ankle injury in the first game. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, people need to stop making the Aaron Donald comparison, because it's just hard to see another player anytime soon being like him.
That's Ed Oliver compared with Quentin Williams, like that explosiveness that Ed Oliver has, plus Quentin Williams, like obviously his technique. A couple of more questions in here. Joe, you weren't big on Davis. Has he changed your mind with how well he seemed to be doing in camp? I answered this before. Again, I never said that he was a bad worker. I think he's going to be an absolute bust. I just think it's going to take him a little bit longer. He's taking the coaching well. I'm not watching these plays though, so I don't know if he's leveraging himself over top of route concepts or reading quarterback size or taking good angles on tackles, because you don't really tackle in camp. So I don't know what he's doing. I know he's getting interceptions, but how is he getting those interceptions? Just like that Herbert interception, everybody hyped up. Me and Marcus both watched it, and we were like, nah, it really wasn't that good of a play by him. He should have made that play.
It's more of an indictment on Herbert.
Yeah, it was an indictment on a bad throw by Herbert than it was on Ashton Davis. So college, it was a lot of, okay, I'm going to get by on my athleticism because I'm an elite athlete. Where the NFL, you need to pair that elite athleticism with your brain and reading concepts and things like that, anticipation, where he didn't do that in college enough. So that's why I thought he was going to take longer to develop. I think he has the athleticism and maybe even the drive to do it. But I think he will have his lumps in his rookie year. Obviously, like I said, the camp stuff, what are those plays? Is it Justin Herbert type interceptions, or is it interceptions where he's anticipating things? Like, I'm not sure. So yeah, I think it's encouraging. And again, I'm not here to shit on Jets players. I'm just here to give my honest opinion. Like I said, Lawrence Cager, I thought he was going to disappoint me. I liked him more. Greg Dortch roasted him last year, and look what happened to Greg Dortch. He got cut. There's plenty of guys. Let's see what else we got in here. Okay, I don't think there's really too much. Again, comment if you want to call in. Again, people, I'm happy with 86 people. I do appreciate everybody who was in there. Again, if you want to call in, 818-573-5427. I'll keep the calls pretty short. Again, we're just starting to build this, but I'm pretty happy with 86 in here, Kyle. I don't know about you. I don't know what the likes are we have right now, but if you are in here, like it. But 86 for the first one, I'm pretty happy with.
41 likes, I think. No dislikes.
We need more than 41. We need 50. Get us to 50 at least. But appreciate you guys. Let's
it's
keep
42 now.
There you go. I appreciate somebody who did that.
Hey, I'm 44 now. It's 45. I just liked it. 48. There you go.
There we go, people. I like I said, I appreciate everybody joining us for the first time. We're gonna get more comfortable with this one. Hopefully build up some callers, and then I will be doing some film on here. I know I am putting up just the plays of it, but if you guys ask me for something specific, hey, can you show me a rep of, maybe do this pre-show, like do this before, because I have like 1,000 plays on my computer of film. But hey, on that show tonight, can you pull up a play of Quentin Williams and his technique that you're talking about? Let me know. I'll break down some film for you guys. I'm comfortable with that. Oh, we got to 63 likes now. People are killing it. All right, awesome.
See what a simple call to action can do. But you
did get a call though.
But now you got a dislike too.
Yeah, there's always those people. The people who hear me say, "Can you like the show?" and dislike it. Listen, It's not going to hurt me that much to dislike, but that just tells me the kind of person you are. You need to get a hobby. That's probably a Bills fan. So let's
Fuck Josh
see.
Allen.
There you go. Now we got 2 dislikes. No, I'm kidding. Somebody asked about Henry Anderson. What do you think about Henry Anderson?
You know what? When I was doing my roster prediction earlier today, I had him. I was like, because I hadn't looked at his contract. I was thinking like, yo, he's a prime candidate to get cut. But then I was thinking, then I looked, and you can't cut him unless you get like 8 million something in dead cap. So
yeah,
you can't. Truthfully, I'm looking at all the D linemen that I got making the roster right now: Fatukasi, Nate Shepard, Henry.
Oh, we're doing this later. You're
it's
killing
just
it.
one
You're
thing.
killing it.
Whatever. Okay, I won't name the rest of the names right now. But out of all these guys that I got written down here, I am the least excited, and I think he's the worst one out of all of them right now. He's got the least upside. Truthfully, I mean, I see him as the bottom of the totem pole in the defensive line room right now.
Yeah. And people who are in the chat too, again, don't feel intimidated to call in. Again, this is more film centric, so we do have some strong opinions, but I'm not going to absolutely shit on somebody. But if you say something stupid, I am going to combat it. So just letting you know. So call in though. I'm not going to be too aggressive with you guys. So do that. Why do you think his sack numbers went down for Henry Anderson? Well, 1, I think he got less snaps, and 2, he had a lot of like chase down type sacks.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor is like holding on to the ball for like 5 seconds. Henry Anderson chases him down from behind.
He it was more like
Deshaun
like
Watson,
Calvin.
You know, because he's one of those players that'll do that shit too.
I think Deshaun Watson's overrated. I think he's good. I just don't think he's as good as everybody else thinks.
No, you're right. No, Watson's actually super duper smart, but he is not an extremely accurate quarterback. He doesn't have good arm strength, which is indicated by his 49-mile-per-hour velocity that he threw at the combine.
You're huge on that velocity.
No, I'm not anymore. I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, just look at his passes. They don't look at him come off his hand. Like, how much harder does Morgan? Yeah, when I watched your Morgan review, like, dude, that dude throws some fucking lasers.
Lasers, bro, lasers.
But with Watson, everything's kind of like a lollipop. But he gets by because he's super duper smart. He's good in the pocket. He can extend plays, and he can also run when he needs to. But he does not have pinpoint accuracy at all, and you can see that when you watch him play. But I like Watson though overall.
So the quick housekeeping again, JetX shop. I didn't mention that we have a bunch of shirts there. We have shirts for Ashton Davis, for Zuniga, for Braden Mann, for whoever, Connor McGovern, who wears our shirts, by the way. And other than that, again, if you guys do want to do the pick'ems, I'm not, again, I'm going to keep it to like 10 to 15 people max. But if you guys do want to do the pick'ems, listen to the show every week. The shows are going to come out probably Wednesday or Thursday. Pick against me and Marcus Coleman, who was an NFL DB for 11 years. And he comes on the show frequently. I'll text him. I'm going to get his picks. And if you beat us, you get two free shirts and a free year subscription. If you finish the top person out of everybody, but me and Marcus, who will beat all of you, we'll give you a free shirt or 2 maybe anyway. So if you want to take part in that, again, you can email me Joe Blewett BLEWETT at Jets with an S X Factor to either let me know you're interested or for your picks or comment on YouTube or whatever it may be. You can also ask me a question there. If you have questions, you can ask me there. Or like I said, if you know a show is coming up, a YouTube live, you say, hey, can you break down this play of Perriman or whatever, or what was this or what was that? You can ask me. Other than that, for the housekeeping, I don't think there's too much. Somebody said I should put up something on the front page of Jets X Factor about the YouTube live shows. We will. Again, we're running through this as like a rough
draft.
Idea. Yeah, this is a rough draft. We will figure this out, but we're gonna be doing this at least once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks. We don't know, but I like the response we're getting right now, so definitely doing it at least once a month. So keep your eyes peeled for the show. I'm not sure exactly what the date and everything's going to be, but if you are a subscriber to the channel, if you follow me on Twitter, JoeRB31 or whatever, these will be happening frequently. So if you can subscribe, do whatever. Even if you don't want to watch the film, but you like this show, I encourage you to watch the film shows. But if you just want to watch these, then just keep your eyes peeled. I don't know if it's going to be like the first Wednesday of every month or what we're going to do, Kyle, but we will do that. Do you have a picture?
By the way,
of
Henry Anderson's a dirty player.
Shirt?
Henry Anderson's a dirty player too.
Hey Jets X Factor. Find the shirt. Find the picture of Connor McGovern or whoever wearing the shirt, his family or whatever it is. I know you're listening, Savo. I know we have that somewhere.
By the way, we could have won that fucking Bills game last year if it wasn't for Henry Anderson.
Yeah,
that late hit
or
Vedvik.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vedvik.
Anybody else? Let's see. Alex Lewis got hurt in practice. Get aggressive next offseason. Yeah, I think the ball skips
sucks
frame when
anyway.
Morgan throws it. Yeah, I mentioned that.
I doubt he's going to start next year.
K Delgado, the ball skips the frame when Morgan throws it. I say that all the time. If you could see the ball through the entire flight on film, that means it wasn't very fast. His ball, you cannot. You see a blur of the brown from the ball. Somebody said Dante.
And that's with like poor technique too. One thing I don't like about Morgan is when Morgan gets pressure around him, he gets scared to step into his throws. But he manages to get all that torque on the ball, even though he's not fully stepping into the throw.
Oh, geez. It's 7:40. Okay, we got to start doing our pick. We're ready to start doing our thing. Somebody said something about they like the show. Just something about if you can start at 7. Well, maybe next time. I don't know. Do you think Joe Douglas gets more aggressive offseason? Yes, I do.
Hopefully, I mean, if Manisha's reporting is true about the money issue, hopefully that's not an issue next season.
Yeah, Clark. I think Clark will be. I like Clark a lot. To be completely honest, so I think he's going to step in maybe midpoint of the year, end of the year, but I think he will be the long term.
He keeps getting hurt.
Starter here. So skill set Cager. Okay, so people are asking about Cager and stuff. Okay, so let's get into the 53-man roster prediction again because it is 7:40. I don't want to keep people on too long, even though they can click off whenever they want, but don't. We got 86 people. I don't know how many likes we got, but. I'm on James Morgan's strengths and weaknesses. I have a lot of stuff. Okay, so Jets roster. Again, we're gonna do this pretty quickly. It's just a talking point. Again, everybody's doing it right now. I think the roster cut down comes in 2 days or whatever. But quarterback and this is what we're gonna do too. I don't want to do it with injuries really. Like we could factor in injuries and talk about them a little bit, but it kind of like there's so many injuries right now of like who's out for 4 weeks, who's going to be on the IR, who's going to be on this list. I kind of did this list without injuries, Kyle. I don't know how you did it.
Well, when you told me that, that's how I did mine because you told me that's how you're doing yours.
3 days. Yeah, it's in 3 days. If we're in a position to take Sewell next year, do you do it? Hell yes, we do it. Offensive line is the most important thing in the draft.
The only problem with that is like either him or Becton's going to have to play on the right side, and it would probably be him because Becton already did play a year on the left in the NFL.
Yeah.
Even though both of them can play left, but you could have theoretically 2 really dominant tackles, so that would be so cool.
Douglas is not a 1 year invest 1 draft pick or 2 draft picks in an offensive lineman and cut it out. Like I think we're going to see multiple first round picks in the next couple of years. I think if you get Sewell though, and you have Sewell, you hope Clark develops. Then you have your left tackle, left guard, you have your center, you have the right tackle, and then maybe they sign a guard and you're pretty set. Like that's a pretty solid line. So,
but let's be honest though, if you can get any player that you want in the draft, you take Trevor Lawrence. Sorry, Sam Darnold fans.
Oh, we're not even getting into this. If we're in a position to take him, if we're bad enough to take Lawrence, then Darnold had a really bad year and we should probably take him, but I don't think that's the case. Any chance Bilal Powell gets signed? I hope so. I like Powell a lot. I think he's been criminally underrated and underused throughout his Jets career. I think he's a decent running back, like starting running back. Somebody really good guards in the draft too. Yeah. Hey, listen, there's plenty of guards who have been drafted. The guy from the Redskins, obviously Quentin Nelson's an absolute savage. So I'm taking good guards too. Offensive line, whether it be left guard, right guard, center, right tackle, they're all really important positions. So I'm cool with that. Moving on. Okay. Yeah. Quarterbacks. I put 3, Darnold, Flacco, Morgan. I think to start the year, you might not see Flacco, might be on that, like the short-term IR or whatever it is. And then you either have Fales or Mike White. It seems like Mike White is playing better, but Fales knows the system. So that's an interesting competition. I would probably say Fales would make it over White if this is the case, but I'm just going to go without the injuries. I'm going to say Darnold, Flacco, Morgan.
Yeah, that's what I have. So we could just move on.
Okay. Running back, I have Bell, Gore, Pirine. This is one where I had a tough time cutting Josh Adams because I know that Douglas likes Josh Adams, so I didn't carry him over. But this is because of some other positions I had to carry like 6 or 7 guys. So this is a position that I think they might carry for, but I went with 3 just for my own personal kind of 53-man roster.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Bell, Gore, Pirine.
Okay, there you go. Tight end, I got 3. Herndon, Griffin, Wesco. Brown's on the outs. I know that Gase likes him, which could be an issue that he might carry him, but I think those 3 are the locks with maybe Brown, but I don't have him making it.
When I initially wrote this down, I had him on there, but I had too many players, so he was one of the people I had to cut. So Wesco, Herndon, Griffin. Yep.
Yeah, somebody says they like Russo or whatever from Miami, the edge rusher. I don't think he's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick. We're talking about like Sewell and Chase. I'd rather have those guys. I just think so far what I heard from Russo or whatever, I want to see his tape to really comment on him. But I heard he's super raw, and taking super raw guys who are going to sit out a year or whatever is pretty risky, to be completely honest. So
It is. Mm-hmm. Plus
exactly.
I mean, you always you want to take best player theoretically, but we really need to help our offense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we need to help Darnold. Like the defense, like this is why like I don't want to sign old guys in defense. Like I don't want to sign a clown who's going to be here for a year or two. I don't want to sign, whoever else. Maybe even like a Logan Ryan. Like I wasn't that butthurt because he's not going to be here in a year or two. But if you're talking about signing guys like Sanu to help Darnold out, yeah, that's the most important thing. So that is fine. How do you think the Jets will use Mims this year? I think he's going to be the X receiver. I don't think he's going to be a lot involved in a lot of route concepts and things like that, just because you want him ISO'd winning a one-on-one. I don't think he's necessarily the
He'll
route
be running
to be
9 routes, slants, curls.
Post.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, wide receiver. This is a really hard one. Again, there's a lot of injuries, so I'm not sure what's exactly going to happen here. This is with assuming health. JD will take a cornerback in the first 2 rounds, maybe. We'll see. So I have Perriman, Crowder, Mims. Obviously, those are the obvious 3. Vincent Smith, I know he's going to be out for a couple of weeks or whatever, but I just put him again because I don't want to do the whole injury thing. They seem to like him a lot. Barrios, who is the punt returner, the guy they like a lot too, backup slot guy, and then Cager. That's my 7.
Did you say Hogan?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So Perriman, Crowder, Mims, Smith, Hogan, Barrios, Cager. That's 7. With Jeff Smith not making it, with George Campbell not making it, with Josh Malone not making it, and with Moncrief not making it. Even though Moncrief, like I said, if he's the Colts Moncrief, the Jaguars Moncrief, I think he could be a decent backup role player type, but I don't know what happened with him the last season. So I have 7, but that's a tough 7 because apparently they like some of these guys, and there's a lot of injuries, so I think they will carry an extra. But it seems like every year, like, they're going to carry at least 6 or 7, and they always carry like 5. Like teams always carry like 5 receivers. So what do you think?
I had 7 as well. Perriman, Mims, Crowder, Vincent Smith, Hogan, Barrios, and I had Moncrief instead of Cager. I wasn't a huge fan of Cager, his film. I think he's pretty much only good at making contested catches, but I think his route running is quite sloppy. It's not only is it sloppy from a technique perspective, but it's also lazy too. Where he's just straight up like, he
lunges into his breaks too much
all the time.
Which again, if you want to see that, I break down the differences of proper stop steps with throwing your hips down into the ground, and not lunging for the break versus actually like there's a lot of guys who jump into the break, and when you're jumping into the break, you're not forcing your body down to stop. You want to force yourself into the ground, your feet into the ground, obviously with proper technique to get out of breaks. You don't want to lunge forward because you're lunging forward, you're sending your body forward instead of down, so it's harder to break. That's some things that we.
I think he's going to be on the practice squad.
I think he's going to make the roster. So Screw you.
That's the only disagreement that we have so far.
Yeah. Okay. Offensive line.
And I really would like to see Barrios used more this year. He had one really bad drop in the fucking Bengals game, which it was on a 3rd down too, if I remember correctly. Darnold played much better in that game than people gave him credit for. But people really dropped passes in crucial situations in that game. But I would like to see more of him though. Anyway, go on.
Gase said he's been super smooth in his routes so far in training camp. Listen, Ash, and again, not here to shit on anybody. You're not gonna have a coach come out and say, "Yeah, his route running is really shitty this year." Like if somebody asks him, "Hey, how does the route running look?" They're gonna say it's good. Like that's just coach speak. Cheese said, "Joe, how do you learn about all this technique? Were you a coach? I'm self-taught. Watching YouTube videos, watching coaching clinics, watching Jim McNally coaching clinics for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, taking notes, studying those notes, going on to film, trying to find those techniques into the game, incorporating them, learning about them, doing strengths and weaknesses list. I've taught myself. So,
in other words, it's a second job for Joe. What's that adage like? You become a master at something when you put tens of thousands of hours into it or something like that.
And if you guys want to learn about it, just go. If you're interested in learning about offensive line and you're newer, or even if you're relatively good with film, just go to the offensive line shows, go to the receiver shows, go to the corners. I'm talking about technique, leverages, hand placement, different concepts, A lot of people don't know about pass blocking concepts, pass blocking technique. They don't know about hips. They don't know about locking your hips out or where hand placement or, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of shit on there.
I would make one suggestion for people too. Point number one is when you're on Twitter, unfollow dumb people. Unfollow dumb people that have loud opinions about something, but they don't actually really know what they're talking, and only follow smart people. Only listen to and read smart people's things. Because when you listen to some of those dumb people, naturally those narratives get into your head like, oh, well, this player is actually really good at this, but when they're really not. Follow smart
There's
people.
a lot of people. Listen, I'm not going to call anybody out by name.
Don't waste your time listening or reading dumb people.
Listen, there's a lot of people with a lot of followers out there who will put up a play and then say, oh, Becton destroyed this guy. And he gets like 20,000 retweets. I'm like, what? And listen, I know he's not going to hear this, but Baldy, what he says, I think he's probably smarter than he lets off. He's all about the rah. Oh, he plays really hard. Look at him take on this block and tackle. But it's like, there's nothing about technique, nothing about leverage, nothing about the concept, nothing. Again, I'm not going to call out the guy by name, but there's a guy who hyped up Morris Claiborne a lot and said James Carpenter is really, really good. And I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? These guys are awful. And they have a lot of followers. Again, not doing too much of it. But let's see.
Good follows on Twitter are like high school coaches that like actually really know what they're talking about. Because like you're not going to see like a coach like Kyle Shanahan tweeting out stuff because there's no need for him. And only that type of stuff's only going to get him backlash, even though like he's really smart. But you'll see like really smart coaches that like studied Nick Saban's defense inside and out who know it really well. But since they're a high school coach, they don't have a big profile. They're not going to get flack if they're tweeting out stuff or whatever. But they tweet out like really, really good informative stuff. So you can learn a lot about coverages and things like that from that. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
So he said Duke Manyweather, is he good? Yeah, he's a good offensive line guy. There's plenty of guys out there.
He played in the league for a little bit too, even though he was very, athletically limited in terms of size.
Again, I'm always going to put my own stuff. So if you want to watch Jets players while learning technique, you could always go to my stuff. I have McGovern up there. I have who else? Cam Clark. I have Becton. I have Fant. I have Van Roten. So if you want to learn about that stuff, but yeah, Baldy. Again, I'm not going to call it the guy by name, but there's a big Jets guy who I think is pretty garbage, to be completely honest. Don't want to say that out loud. Omar said bucket step. I learned that from you. Okay. Hey, you learn what a bucket step is. Cool. There's more stuff to learn. What are you thinking about, Kyle? I see you're making a face over there.
No, I was just thinking about how you always talk about Sam Darnold stepping in the bucket.
Oh, well, stepping, but I think he's talking about a bucket step from an offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about. I was wondering if he meant that or he meant
79 people in here. Do 79 of them know what a bucket step is? If not, go and watch an offensive line video and learn what it is and how to properly work your hips over or not over your toes. So offensive line, I have 9. Okay, let's actually do this question first. Actually, we'll get to after the offense. Offensive line, I have from left to right. I think people who start from right to left are psychopaths, to be completely honest. I don't know who goes from who reads from right to left. I don't get that. But I have a left tackle, Becton, Lewis, left guard, center, McGovern, right guard, Van Roten, right tackle, Fant. And then the backups I have are Edoga, Josh Andrews, Harrison, and Clark, with 2 guys who I think are going to be like teetering on the roster is McDermott and Hilbers, the undrafted rookie. But those are the 9 I have.
You know what I just realized? I don't know how I forgot him, but for some reason, and it was totally unintentional, I didn't write him down. I didn't write down Cam Clark on mine, even though I like Cam Clark's tape. So let me do that right now because there's no question that he would make this.
Somebody commented while you're doing that. Somebody said Baldy on the 2018 offensive line. Quotes, this Jets O-line is doing things O-line in the playoffs can't do, end quote. That's pretty much what it is. Like there's no substance into it. It's all rah stuff. If a lot of those people, like I said, if you're following
Baldy's like, look at him. He is mean. He is hungry. He wants a snack right now. Look at him going in to devour the running back. It's like something like that. Like, but then people eat it up. And
then people eat it up. But then they'll also say, "Oh my God, Baldy knows so much." It's like probably he does because he played offensive line. But from his videos, what are you seeing there? I don't get it.
They're not extremely educational, but I mean, they're fun.
It is. Okay, so
Okay, so offensive line, I have Becton, Alex Lewis, McGovern, Van Roten, Fant. Chuma is a potential cut candidate. I would not be surprised if he were cut. Remember, Polite was a surprise cut last year. But remember, Douglas didn't draft Polite. Douglas didn't draft Chuma. I know he praised Chuma's feet, having solid feet this offseason. But Chuma's lazy, and he kind of sucked last year, in my opinion.
I think he's better at right tackle and left tackle for sure last
year.
Yeah,
but I think he was garbage at both, if you ask me, overall. And like I said, Harrison and Cam Clark. I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Harrison were cut either. And, could someone like Josh Andrews make it instead of Jonathan Harrison? Potentially. Because remember, Harrison wasn't initially brought in by Douglas, whereas someone like Josh Andrews was. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that. Jonathan Harrison's pretty bad. He's pretty bad, and he's not getting any better, even though, he's like,
I just think him having him having starting experience, obviously there's a difference between bad starters and bad backups. Obviously a bad starter may be a good backup where, if a good backup comes in or you think he's a good backup, he might come in and suck. But I think Harrison's decent depth, at least, to have. At least he's done it. Like, he's not as bad as
you could have worse. Wesley Johnson,
Quale or Wesley Johnson. Like those guys you can't have at all.
Or Breno Giacomini.
Yeah. So the depth is not great, but the offensive line's taking steps in the right direction. I think Becton's long-term piece. I think McGovern's long-term piece, and I think out of one of Fant or what's his name, Clark, one of those guys will be the long-term starter at either right tackle or guard. Fant, I'm higher on than other people. Again, I have a video of him. I think he took a lot of steps in the right direction for sure. A lot of people just kill him because, and I get it. You see all these guys in free agency. You see whoever else, you see what the Browns sign, the tackle from the Titans, whoever, Conklin, which, I think he got a decent contract, but you see those guys signing, and then the Jets signed George Fant, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Like,
Yeah, I had no clue
either. But I watched the film, and a lot of people, again, they go either type in stats or PFF. I disagree with PFF on a lot of stuff, and I don't like stats. Listen, I don't know how their formulas work, but stats suck, in my opinion. You go, what is it, like the interception that I always bring up, the interception that Darnold had versus the Vikings. Hits Sharon Peak in the chest on a slant, really good ball, pops up in the air, it's an interception. Is that a bad interception for Darnold? No, I'm all about process versus results, all about the process. Because
I don't know why the Raiders worked him out recently.
Great ball, hit him in the chest. It's interception. Now for PFF, is that a bad play? Is that an interception? Is it going on the formula? Now he's a bad player. Like, I don't like PFF. I don't like stats. I don't like, is this guy good? Hold on, let me go to Google and type in his stats. I don't think that's how it works. That's why the Perriman thing I disagree with a lot of people on, because he was open those first 11 weeks or whatever, and he was making some good plays in terms of getting open, but the quarterback just didn't hit him because he wasn't one of the first couple of reads. So I think Perriman had a completely productive 2019 in terms of actually getting open, not just statistically. Let's see.
Going back to offensive line, I was pleasantly surprised with both of the film of Van Roten and Fant. You want to talk about, what they had in previous years at both those positions. I think they're pretty significant upgrades, which is not saying much, but nonetheless is. I like Van Roten's film better. However, Fant definitely has the higher upside. I mean, like, he's got the mentality. Like, he's an aggressive player. He's a tough player. He's athletic. When you see him get out in space, the dude can move. But yeah, it's kind of like, Fant? Fant. With him, it's just mostly technique issues. But I mean, he's quite inexperienced there, so he's got room to develop. Anyway, we can move on.
So we both have those. I was gonna try to pull up that. I have the one play of Fant where he trucks the guy. I don't know what. Do you remember that play? Was that early or late into the review? I forget when he gallops to the. Okay, yeah. I think this is the play at least.
Oh, against the 49ers?
Yeah, I just put big time gallop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Where he blocks this guy, right? I love that damn play. I love it. So as you can see, 34
he had
plays.
Some really
I had like
nice
70
reps against Bosa in this game.
Yeah,
and there were times where Bosa got the best of him too, which you can expect. Bosa's a really good player, but
good Gallup, obviously with the step, and the Gallup being the step for the first step in the direction while you hop off of it and the power off of the second step, opens his left foot, which again, talking about hips, allows your hips to open up and they cover ground. You don't want your foot pointing forward while trying to work over your foot, because that's just not how the body works. You need to open your hips up to work through it. Step near, Gallop, and truck. I love it. He can move, and he's got some power too. So he's fun to watch sometimes.
He takes too many 45-degree steps. He's got to change.
He needs more vert sets and jump sets for sure. He's all 45 degree. That's like all he did with the Seahawks. So he needs to learn more. But yeah, we have 9. So total for offense, I have 25. I think we both had 3 quarterbacks, 3.
How many
running
offensive
backs,
linemen?
3 tight ends.
You had 9 offensive linemen?
9.
I have 8. I have 8.
You're okay. There's usually I think teams usually carry 9 to 10. I guess they could carry 8. I just don't know if Douglas is going to do. Maybe he could carry 8, but I disagree with you there. But moving on to the defensive line. You said you had a tough time with Henry Anderson. So who are your defensive linemen?
I mean, I think Douglas would definitely cut him if he could, cap wise, but he can't. Defensive line, I got the way I didn't put guys like Jordan Jenkins as a defensive lineman. I labeled him as an edge. So defensive line, I got 6. Kyle Phillips, McClendon, Quinnen, Henry Anderson, Nate Shepard, and Fadukasi.
Okay, yeah. I have McClendon, Q, Fadukasi, Shepard, Anderson, Phillips. Phillips is like a hybrid, like outside linebacker, D end, like whatever you want to put him, D line or outside linebacker.
I like him.
I think he's more of a, for undrafted guy. He played really, really well last year. Really good in the run game. So the Jets have a really, really good defensive front. Maybe not pass rushing wise. I think they will develop there. With Quinn Williams developing. That's the huge sticking point of that is if Q develops, then they could be a lot better. But in terms of run stuffing, McClendon, Q, Fadukasi, Shepard in the middle with Phillips and Jenkins on the edge that's fucking hard to run against, man. I don't see how you run a lot against that team, even without obviously Jamal Adams makes plays, but considering those guys, and then you have guys on the second level like a Williamson, who we both like Williamson a lot, which we could talk about that. I think he took a pay cut from 7.5 to 7, or no, it was either 7 or 7.5 to I think he took $3.5 million pay cut. And he's been working with the second team some in practice too, which is something of note.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it was a pay cut. I wasn't sure that the way I read it, I was thinking this looks like a pay cut, but maybe I'm just missing something. Yeah. It's interesting that he would accept that. I mean, I know he got some guaranteed money there, which I guess did they tell him hey, listen, if you don't take this pay cut, we're going to cut you? Is that what they did to him?
I can't tell you. I'm not in the.
No, it's not. So, I mean, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense. But he's like, but if you do take the pay cut, we'll guarantee your roster spot. So you have this money guaranteed no matter what. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah. And maybe it's just him coming back from injury slow. He knows he's coming back from injury slow. At this point in the season, is a team I think a team would pick him up. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm hoping he comes back healthy. But everybody doesn't heal the same. Every situation is not linear. He's not Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson healed, came back, had a 2,000 rushing yard season.
Crazy.
It doesn't always happen.
Frank Gore's tore his ACL at least 3 times.
Yeah, so it can happen.
And he's 37 playing running back.
But if Williamson is what he was in 2018, 17, he's a savage in the run game. We like him a lot in the run game. I think he's an absolute beast. 235, 240. Taking on pulling guards and putting them on their ass and making the tackle, he is impressive at times. So I really like him. So the run stopping defense is going to be good. Moving on to the outside linebackers. This is a position I kind of wanted to carry 3, but I carried 4.
Same.
Jenkins, Basham, Zuniga, Willis.
I thought about Willis too, and I had initially wrote him down, but I took him off.
Luvu?
I have Luvu, yeah.
I like Luvu, and he didn't produce a lot last year, but we liked him the previous year under Bulls. So I'm not too sure what happened with him last year, but he wasn't very productive and he didn't play a lot. So I have a feeling that they like Wills more, or Willis, whatever, more than him.
I could see that.
But isn't he wearing number 70 something Wills, or 60 something? I don't know why the hell is he wearing that, but it's the ugliest jersey number I've ever seen.
Maybe it's just something in camp until, how Leo, what was Leonard Williams was wearing a 60 something, wasn't he?
was like 62 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like 62. Six overall
Was it
draft pick,
62?
and you're wearing, I think so, something like that, and you're wearing 62. How ugly is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Somebody's saying Bryce Huff in here. I just haven't heard anything. I think based on his film, I think he could be a guy, but I think he's going to be a practice squad guy.
Truthfully, all right. So, you got to maximize your time and stuff. The only film review that you did that I didn't watch was him. And because I haven't heard anything about him.
Hell, Kyle.
I haven't heard anything about him. So then I went on Twitter and I started searching his name, and everything I'm seeing is back from the draft. Like, oh, the Jets signed Bryce Huff, who I had as my blank player on my board. I'm like, okay, but training camp's been going on for a little while now. I haven't heard this guy's name at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm not spending an hour plus watching this guy's film if he might not even make the roster.
Yeah, and for Willis over Luvu, I'm pretty sure Willis got more playing time over Luvu, so I think they're going to keep him. Again, I don't really love either guy there.
I could definitely see you being right with that.
Middle linebacker. This is a hard one again. Williamson, Peanut. I know he's injured for like 2 to 5 weeks. Again, Peanut's a guy I'm a little bit lower on, I think, than fans are. I don't think he's a starting linebacker. I think he's like a role reserve type guy. A guy you can ask to blitz a little bit, maybe play man on a tight end, but I'm not. I think he's pretty raw in terms of like his instincts and things like that, reading blocking schemes. But I have him making it. I have Cashman. I have Hewitt. I have Burgess not making it though. I have 4. Burgess didn't make it last year initially. Once they had injuries, they brought him back. And I like Burgess. I thought he was going to make the initial roster,
but he played a lot though.
So maybe they didn't love him a lot. I know
they play a lot though.
But was that out of necessity or because Cashman was down, Hewitt was down,
Williamson
was down, Mosley was down?
Yeah,
you need a middle linebacker. I know you're going to say play nickel, but you still
need
somebody.
I know, but you could have brought in another guy though, or.
Yeah. Something else I want to talk about too. Again, this is a new stream for some people, but like for some of the GM stuff that people discuss, that I think is bullshit in terms of just kind of calling.
Oh, I got something I got to say too. You say what you got to say first, but please remind, no. You go first. That's rude of me, but I have to say something.
Okay.
Because it's been on my mind for a while.
I don't like the people who just assume that, like Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's the big thing. Oh, he got $12 million from the Panthers. They should have signed him for $12 million. Who says the Jets didn't try to sign him for $12 million? Who says the Jets didn't try to sign him for 12.5? Who says the Jets didn't try to sign him for 13? He could have came into the Jets office and said, "Fuck you guys. I don't want to play with you. I don't like Adam Gase. I want to play with Matt Rule in Carolina. I'm not signing here." But people act like it's Madden. If you sign him to 12.5 instead of 12 over the Panthers, he's going to sign with us. There's a lot of things that go into play. There's, teams don't automatically sign the team who's the highest bidder. So I hate when people talk in absolutes who criticize the Jets. And I'll criticize the Jets for a lot of things, but, the Jets really should have brought back Rob Anderson for $12 million. Who says they didn't try to? So I hate the people who talk in absolutes like that, saying they should have signed this guy, they should have signed that guy, Glasgow or Conklin. Conklin could have got a phone call from Joe Douglas and said, "No, I'm not playing with the Jets no matter what. I don't want to play there." You never know. So don't talk in absolutes about what happens in the front office. That's my one recommendation to people. I get you can verbalize that by saying if the Jets didn't offer Robbie Anderson $12 million, and that's dumb. But to say, "Oh, you know what? They didn't do it. They fucking suck." That's not how it goes. That's not how front offices work. And me and Marcus talk about this all the time, and he agrees with me on that stuff. That a lot of fans assume they know what's going on behind the scenes, and they don't. So. I think there's a guys he might have tried to sign or trade for, whatever, that just didn't work out and we don't really know about. So I think that's something to mention.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it kind of ties into what I want to talk about too. The one thing that's been driving me nuts is everybody criticizing Adam Gase for all these injuries. Like, what is Adam Gase doing that made CJ Mosley tear his groin last year? Or made a player run into
Greg Williams. He put him in Tampa too. Made
Avery Williamson tear his ACL. I mean, like, people are acting like Gase is like practicing these guys. Like, people are acting like Gase is going full contact every practice and he's doing 3-a-days with them and he's not giving them proper nutrition or whatever. Like, how is this shit in his control in any way, shape, or form? If anything, I think Gase has been very, 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 very careful with players. Like, oh, this guy's got a little bit of tightness in his hamstring. Let's sit him for a long period of time. I think he's been super cautious. He's dealt with a lot of injuries over his year. Okay, Ryan Tannehill missed a lot of games in his under his tenure with Adam Gase.
Fucking Calais Campbell hit him when his fucking leg was, isolated. Is that Adam Gase's fault? Right? I mean, come on. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand some of this shit. So like going to the point, like, so a lot of people are criticizing Joe Douglas right now for what he didn't do with the receiver room. And I do admit that he could have done more. Now people are saying, oh, he should have drafted Brian Edwards instead of Zuniga. Okay, that's fair. Anyway, it's not like the Jets didn't try to do anything at the receiver position. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you were never going to sign Robbie and Perriman both. You were never going to do that. Okay?
Yeah.
It was one or the other. You got Perriman, who personally I think has a lot more upside. Will he be as good as Robbie here? I can't say that for sure, but I do think if he stays healthy, he will be better. I personally think that. Okay, and then you drafted Mims with a high pick too. So to act like he hasn't tried to put in it now, it's unfortunate that both those guys got a little banged up for parts of training camp. That's not Adam Gase's fault, and that's not Joe Douglas's fault either. Because if you had Robbie Anderson, let's say Douglas signed Robbie Anderson and Robbie Anderson got hurt in camp, are you then going to say, oh, well, Joe Douglas didn't do enough to bring in? Like, players get hurt. Players get hurt. It's not like, I mean, could he have done more? Yes. But see, people are kind of like changing the narrative now, saying he did nothing at the receiver position. No, you guys are criticizing him a lot now because players got hurt.
So just I guess to continue the rant or whatever. The things that bother me the most are the absolutes in terms of like the GM stuff. Like, oh, they should have signed this guy for this much money when you don't know what happened behind the scenes. Again, they could have hung up the phone on Joe Douglas. The injury thing, I think it's more on the trainers. Are the guys not stretching? Are they not warming up? Are they doing static stretches before practice? You're not supposed to be statically stretching before practice, which reach for your toes and hold it for 10 seconds, whatever. Like, you don't want to do those. You want to do more of like flutter kicks and things like, or not
dynamic,
kicks,
dynamic stretches.
Yeah, dynamic stretches versus static stretches before practice. Like kicking your ass, like when you're running, doing that little thing or whatever, like lunges, like that type of stuff. So like, who is it? I don't know, but the problem is it has followed Gase around a little bit, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening. Maybe it's bad luck, but like you said, Mosley was hurt because he was playing Tampa 2 and he matched a receiver and tore his groin. You have Williamson was a freak accident. Like it's not, Gase is not putting those guys, like I guess he technically is putting those guys in those positions, but you know what I'm saying? It's not like he's running 3 days of full contact head to head and stuff like that. But that, and then like I said, there's something else that I wanted to comment on. I just recommend, again, watching more film, hopefully sticking on this channel and learning about some stuff, watching the film instead of just saying, oh, well, he had 2 interceptions this game, he had a bad game for Darnold. And when one of them was a great read and the receiver cut the wrong way in a jerk route, and the other one, it hit Perriman in the chest and he dropped it. Like, you got to look at that stuff. So I always advise to look at film over stats, because I think stats are trash, to be completely honest. So, but moving on from that,
Joe, you should ask Robbie about how the Jets are warming up in terms of stretching and stuff.
I think he's in here. Robbie, comment on the but is it different than anything we've seen before? I don't know. Start taking notes of that, Robbie. We want to know. We demand answers, damn it. So, 6 on the defensive line. Outside linebackers, I have 4. Middle linebackers, I have 4. Did you do the same? Williamson, Peanut, Cash, and Hewitt, and Burgess? Did you do 5?
I had Burgess, yeah. So I have one more with the linebacker, and you had one more with the offensive line. So that's one difference that we've had.
Fight the establishment, Joe. Boycott the stats. Jon Snow, you must be new to this channel, my friend. Trust me, I fight the stats quite often. I shit on them all the time, even though I love Michael Nania.
Isn't Jon Snow a Game of Thrones character?
I'm disappointed you even have to ask that. To be
I never watched it. You should be happy that I even know that, even though I never watched the show.
I'm disappointed you've never watched the greatest show ever. Sorry. I'm gonna shit on.
I heard there's too many penises in that show. I'm not really down to see all that.
Too many penises. There's like you.
So I watched South Park.
I didn't necessarily tally the penises in that show, but I think there's only 2 or 3.
Listen, I watched South Park, man, and they clown the shit out of Game of Thrones and George R.R. Martin, and like there's like an episode where they go to George R.R. Martin's house and he's got like all these statues and stuff with a bunch of penises around, because apparently
I think there's only 2 or 3, and if so, the ratio from that to the better half of what I like. Again, I don't care what your preferences, but my preferences is the opposite. and there's like 95% more of that stuff. So that's the positive. So if you can take the ratio, but yeah, it's and somebody says read the books, Kyle, they're better. Yeah, I agree. The books are better. The books are always better. There's so much more detail in books.
Did you read the books?
No, I should though. But Game of Thrones is fantastic. I don't know if you like it's a little bit of fantasy. Like people, they have dragons.
I probably
and shit
would
and,
actually be entertained. I probably
and
would.
ice walkers, but it's very few and far between you see that shit. So it's a really, really good show. And it's like one of those shows where if you don't pay attention for 5 minutes, there's probably 40,000 characters in that show. So I like that show. I
heard
like
the ending
that.
was really bad.
The last season, just don't watch it and then write your own ending. Because
go ahead. Sorry.
They changed it from like the people who used to write it or whatever. And then like the HBO took it over or something like that. And then it was just really rushed. Breaking Bad. Yeah, I see that too. Again, if you guys want to ask stupid questions, I'm fine with doing that too. I want you guys.
Yeah, I have that. I have that show on the list. I'll probably watch that at some point. I liked House of Cards and I hated the last season. The last season sucked. You know, Kevin Spacey was too busy, flying around with Epstein and stuff, and they had to fire him from the show. It sucked after he left, though. He's a good actor.
And obviously, like The Office and stuff like that. I like there's a lot of TV I watch, especially we talked about it before. We were both security guards, and there was time I was on a post for 8 hours sitting at a desk doing nothing. I watched plenty of TV shows when I was doing that and studying football stuff. But to go on, we'll do some stupid questions maybe later. If you guys want to send some stupid stuff, put them in there. What do you think about our old GM Mikey Mack? He sucked. He didn't evaluate the right talent. he emphasized position, like he didn't draft any offensive linemen ever. Like
he continually got fleeced in free agency. He overpaid for guys all the time.
Somebody's about to do reasons why
he made that mistake.
Long Island.
He made the mistake consistently of thinking that his team was ready to contend when it wasn't.
Yeah,
you don't spend big in free agency,
year, but it wasn't smart. Rex Ryan or Adam Gase? At the pinnacle, Rex Ryan, but Adam Gase. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Good. Go back and watch the Adam Gase show that I did with a former NFL DB. His concepts are good. My problem with Adam Gase, X's and O's wise, is he goes away from concepts. He tries to make a ton of concepts work instead of building on concepts, where McVay and a lot of the smart coaches will build off of concepts like play action boots off of outside stretch zone with the Niners or with the Rams. They do that a lot, and they build upon it, add new wrinkles. You adjust to this, they add in this to throw you off. Where Gase just tries to run a ton of different stuff and doesn't build on it. But there was plays in there that we showed, and I showed to Marcus, and he's like, dude, I see this play. I don't know how I would defend this. Even if I see this play before, I don't know how I would defend this. So he's smart, but he tries to outsmart himself. And then the problem really comes off the field. Off of the field is the problem where I don't think he's a leader, where I think you need to be a leader. But for the people who criticized Gase in the field last year, I want to see any coach, I don't care if it's Bill Belichick, be successful with the worst offensive line in the league with Luke Falk, who in college was a bad quarterback because he couldn't face pressure. With like, how do you play that? So people criticize Gase unfairly. I'm not a Gase stan, but to say he's Rich Kotite, I think is bullshit, to be completely honest. I think he's better than some people think he is. I'm not saying he's God or he's not, one of these good coaches yet, but I think he has the smarts to be. But a lot of people, last year, they need to throw the ball more deep, or they need to run more 10 personnel and spread it out. Well, then they have nobody to block, and now Darnold gets rocked even harder and quicker. It's like he's criticized unfairly, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of him. He's not who I wanted to sign. I don't necessarily want him here long term, but still, I will stand up for him at least a little bit.
Yeah, another thing that frustrates me about Gase is that he is very stubborn and he wants to do what he wants to do, and he will do it even though he doesn't have necessarily the personnel to run that effectively, which annoys me, because if you're a good coach, you're going to switch up their scheme a lot. I can rest assure you Belichick is going to switch up the Patriots offense. It's going to look quite different than it has in the previous 20 years with Brady, but that's what Belichick has done. He's continued to reinvent himself. I do feel like if you give Adam Gase some good personnel, you will see a pretty effective offense again.
Listen, he brought the Dolphins to the playoffs at 10-6 and didn't have that good of a roster. The Jets last year were 7-9 with a terrible roster without their starting quarterback for 3-4 games, whatever it was. He's always been like a 7-9 type coach with like the Dolphins were never good those years, and he's always had them like 7-9, 8-8, and that's with half of those games. I think like 3 of the years. I think Tannehill played in like literally half of the games.
Yeah, it was something like that.
again, and I think it might be one game over half that he played. So he played like, let's say it was 100 games, that's obviously way too much. But I think it was like 51 to 49. So he didn't have a starting quarterback for like half the games, and he made a bad roster decent. Now, again, I'm not standing for Adam Gase, but for the people who, trust me, there's plenty of talk shows you can go listen to. Oh, the guy's fucking terrible. You should have brought in a new coach and all this stuff. And listen, again, I didn't want to sign him, but to criticize him for last year, I don't think anybody would have beat the Bills, not the Bills, the Browns or the Eagles with Luke Falk with that offensive line with all the injuries. The Jets were the most injured team in the NFL by far last year, and that's even without Mosley on the IR counting against it because he was still on the roster. So they had like $84 million of players on the IR without Mosley. So they were injured a ridiculous amount with their backup quarterback behind
but Blake Cashman's shoulder that he had problems with for years in college, that's Adam Gase's fault, right?
Fat Rex versus Skinny Rex. Yeah, Fat Rex is definitely better than Skinny Rex for sure. I think he's a better coach.
He's fat again. He got his lap band reversed.
Did he?
Yeah. I guess he was getting too tired of not eating enough.
Okay, so moving on. Safety, I have Marcus May, McDougald, Davis, and Mateus Farley as my 4.
I don't know shit about him, so he didn't make my roster. I have with safeties, I got Davis, May, McDougald, and Bennett Jackson because he also plays special teams. Okay. And by the way, I'm actually pretty good buddies with his trainer.
Oh, well, good for you, Kyle.
His trainer also trains Shalik Calhoun, who's on the Patriots now.
Yeah. Shalik, he played like right down the road from me. He was a savage in high school.
Oh yeah. What high school did he go to?
He went to North. I went to Modern Day. It was literally
right down North.
Yeah. It was literally a 2-minute run, 1-minute car ride from his high school.
I know someone who played at Middletown North. Do you know Paul Muller?
No.
Okay.
Ashton is better than McDougald? Question mark? No, not right now. Can he be better than McDougald? Sure, but McDougald is a decent starting safety.
His man coverage is good. McDougald's man coverage is good. He really
Kyle with the clout drop.
What?
I don't like clout drop. I guess he's like you're
because I
trust that. I don't
because I called out Jon Snow's name. Is that why?
Oh well, he already doesn't like you for not watching Game of Thrones, which I like you less today than I did yesterday as well. So yeah, McDougald, he is good at man. Like the Jets have a really interesting room of DBs, and I feel like they could carry 3 safeties because Poole played some safety last year. You have Wilson who could play in hook zones. He could play a safety type role too in the box. So they might carry 3 safeties and carry 7 DBs. So it's pretty interesting. Hey Joe, my mother was the first graduating class of Modern Day. You go, brother. Yeah, I went to Modern Day, which is now Modern Day Prep. And now they can recruit football players, and now the football team is 100% better. But like I said, my senior year, we almost got our football team canceled. There was like 26 guys who could play both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So I was talking about him saying he knew Bennett Jackson's trainer. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, I think Farley's okay, but corners, I have 7, Poole, Desir, Austin, Mollett, Hall, Harrison, Wilson. Interesting position. I think Lamar Jackson is again another guy who's hyped up because he has the same name as the other Lamar Jackson, the better Lamar Jackson.
A dumb reason.
And know what I figured out too? A lot of these mock drafts that you saw, it was always the Jets needing corners, and he was always available in the 6th round. And it was name recognition. Oh, from Nebraska. Okay, Lamar Jackson. I'm going to take him. He sucked. I watched his film. I don't like him at all, to be completely honest. So he's not making the roster. I think Guidry might make it as a backup slot guy. I didn't break down his film. He looked like a guy who's really traitsy, but apparently he's impressing. So I think he has the best chance to make the roster out of those 2 undrafted guys. But like I said, Poole, Desir, Austin as your 3 starters in the nickel, with Hall, Harrison, Wilson, and Mollett. And Harrison and Wilson, they both got traded for picks. Harrison did pretty well against the Browns.
He didn't,
not pretty well.
But the pick didn't end up going through because Harrison didn't meet up to the conditions. I guess he didn't play enough.
Oh.
Harrison looked pretty good early on, but he was kind of bad towards the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe he doesn't make it and Guidry does, but I'm pretty confident with Wilson because he's versatile.
I think you're wrong.
Paul's gonna make it.
You're wrong. This kid Zane Lewis is gonna make it.
Who the hell is Zane Lewis?
They just added him because someone cut him. I forget which team cut him. The Cardinals, I think.
Was this today?
When you it was like yesterday. When you add a kid that late,
He missed basically all of training camp.
Oh,
Okay, you're adding a kid that late, you know he's going to make the roster.
sure, I guess.
I haven't watched his tape.
Didn't they just add the running back Pete Guerrero again? He's getting cut. I don't know.
But they might just add him. Okay, like just for their end of camp until they have to make the final cuts, and then just put him on the practice squad or whatever.
Okay, yeah. So I have 7 there. I'm definitely confident in Poole, Desir, Austin, Mollett, Hall. I think those 5 are pretty much locked, and I think Wilson's pretty close to a lock as well. Harrison might be on the outs for a guy like Guidry, but that's the 7. So I have 25 on offense, 25 on defense. Special teams, I think we are both going to agree it's Fick and Hennessy, even though I don't understand why Gostkowski or Hauschka haven't been brought in. Freaking Sam Ficken's terrible, so I don't get it.
One thing about Hauschka is he doesn't really have a long leg. He's not going to really kick you far kicks, if I remember correctly.
I'm fine with that. You have Ficken who can't make a 25-yard field goal consistently.
Which, truthfully, I don't mind. Like sometimes going for it on 4th down. Like if you're, like on the 35 or the 40.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. So. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Ficken at all.
Oh shit! Hold on, we have our first caller. I'm excited for this. I just clicked on it. Sorry, you've been waiting for 9 minutes. I haven't seen you, but we did just do the 53-man roster. So I'll bring you on in 2 seconds. But that's it. Yeah, that's it. So that's 25, 25, 3. Yeah, 53. So that's my roster. And then we'll talk some other topics. If you guys want to ask some more questions in the chat, we will answer them because we don't have any more topics. As soon as we run out of topics, I will click off, even though we will be getting off by probably 9 the latest. If we even if we have some topics, I don't want to make it too long because a 3-hour show is long enough. Autos. So the way the call-in thing reads it is Graham surprising Jet wins. So probably wins and maybe a little bit of Game of Thrones thrashing. Let's see. Caller, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Yep.
What's up, man? The first caller ever of Jets X Factor. Welcome on, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, I wanted to break the seal. I saw you guys asking, hey, someone call in. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's get in. But
I appreciate that a lot, man.
Yeah, basically, and before what you guys were talking about with Gase, I agree completely. I was actually confident about the hire at first because I thought he made a lot out of nothing. I was very disappointed with what he did last year. Like you said, I thought he was very stubborn, didn't put his players in a position to succeed, and he came out and said that himself. So we'll see how this goes this year. As far as the 2 surprising wins.
Okay.
Buffalo.
Week 1?
Buffalo is getting all hype. They're being touted as the best defense in the NFL this year, one of the best defenses last year. They have a culture of losing in big moments and just utterly disappointing their
playoffs
fans.
Last year.
I'm going to say, yeah, it's very true. Very true. They finally did it. They finally were.
No,
in the
I'm saying they
playoffs,
choked in that playoff game. Like you said, like I'm agreeing with you. Like they had that playoff game fucking locked up and they blew it.
Yeah. I betting against Dallas and the Bills in big games is you could be a millionaire doing that because they always choke for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And so with all this hype coming into game 1, they're going to blow it against the Jets, and their fan base is going to be throwing people through tables just like they did a couple years ago. And the other big one is we're going to get our revenge on Seattle, and we're going to help push that pick into the low 15 range. Seattle, I think, is going to have some trouble this year. They've got no running game. The offensive line got worse. Hopefully what you saw in Fant and his improvement, hopefully they lost a good one. And on top of that, yeah, they added Adams, but they added Adams to a defense that was average. It was all right. And that NFC West is disgusting. That the schedule they have is disgusting. They have, I think, the Falcons, the Niners, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Patriots. And the NFC West is so disgusting that I could easily see the Seahawks falling to 7 wins and totally disappointing everybody. And I think the Jets are going to get that win over them too. Those are my surprising wins.
Kyle, what do you think about the comment about Adam Gase? I know, the caller brought up, and Graham, like I said, I appreciate you breaking the seal there and bringing the first caller. Hopefully you call in again the next show. So I definitely appreciate it. Kyle, what do you think about the Adam Gase thing? I'll keep you on, Graham, so you could comment back if you want. But
I mean, Graham basically agreed with my point that talking about him being stubborn, but I do think his offensive concepts are pretty good. And another example to just highlight how stubborn he was is Darnold had to tell him, like, hey, listen, I'm not so comfortable with this concept, and this concept. I'd rather do some of this type of stuff. And then the offense did get a little bit better after they had that conversation.
My question is, why didn't that happen in training camp?
Because Adam Gase, he is extremely arrogant. He's extremely arrogant and thinks that he knows best. But truthfully, a really good coach is like, okay, yeah, I know a lot of shit and I know more than you, but I got to know what you're comfortable with to help put you in a position where you're best going to succeed. That's really the mark of a good coach. So he struggles a little bit in that area.
Yeah, like I said, I just think for Adam Gase, obviously we can criticize him for the leadership, and I want my coach first and foremost to be that leader. So that's the big problem with me and Adam Gase, or with me and Adam Gase. I don't know him personally, but for me, about Adam Gase, I guess I should say. And like I said, I think the route concepts, the route concepts that he runs are smart. I just think that, again, he doesn't build on concepts. He tries to outsmart himself, in situations where he should run, like 3rd and 1, he tries to pass the ball, outsmart the defense, or situations where he should pass the ball, he tries to run and outsmart the defense. So I think he just needs to be a little bit more basic with his stuff and build on concepts, but I just don't think he's a leader of men. So that's a problem. We've seen it, and we saw it in Miami. We saw it with the Jets. So, I think that's the problem. But in terms of the on the field stuff last year, again, one of the worst offensive lines with one of the worst quarterbacks, the worst quarterback in the league starting, it's going to be pretty hard to overcome with, Herndon out and Griffin not signed yet, or I think Griffin signed like week 4, whatever it was. With Robbie Anderson, who is a deep threat. But guess what? When you can't take a 5-step drop because there's a defensive tackle in your face, guess what a deep threat's going to do? Absolutely nothing. So they're in a really hard position. In terms of the surprising wins, the Buffalo thing. So I like Buffalo's team a lot. I like their coaching a lot. But obviously they choked in the playoffs last year. And I think that Josh Allen is largely overrated. So I think they're going to be a decent team.
Hugely overrated.
I don't think they're ever going to go far in the playoffs because their quarterback sucks. It is what it is. So I think if you put Darnold on the Bills last year, they may make it to the conference championship or even farther. Like imagine Darnold on the 2019 or even in the 2015 team. Darnold would have, I think, lit up some of those years. So I agree with the Bills. And listen, this is the first year where they're the lead dog now. It's not the Patriots anymore. Everybody's Buffalo. So can they handle that? So I definitely agree with the caller there. And then Seattle, I'm just hoping that Russell Wilson has, he has a new baby, so maybe he opts out because of COVID.
He's
I don't know
not
about
opting out.
I know. I hopefully, I don't know. I don't know about 7 wins because I just think Russell Wilson's too damn good. But obviously that,
and he never misses a game either.
I don't see them as a 11-win team either. I think they're going to be like a 9-10 win team just because of how good Russell Wilson is. Because I think he's obviously the second best quarterback in the league. So that's
I don't think they ever had a losing record in the 8-9 years that he's been there. I think their worst might have been 8-8 or 9-7.
Yeah,
which was the one year they missed the playoffs. That one year we traded Sheldon to them.
Yeah.
Okay. But they barely missed the playoffs.
Do you have anything else to add? Do you want to promote your Twitter or your YouTube or whatever you have out there? I don't know if you have anything out there, but if not, I definitely appreciate you calling in.
I figured I'd do one more little thing because I loved that you brought up that Gase story where he sat with Darnold and Darnold said, listen, we got to change the playbook. Here's what I'm comfortable with. I felt like as I was reading that it was PR BS and that they were gunning for like almost like a Disney moment. Like, oh yeah, he came to me and then we turned the season around. And, to your point, coach has got to figure that shit out in training camp. What the hell is going on? So hopefully this year Gase has learned a little bit of a lesson. And hopefully they start with this massive mountain of an offensive line. I think they're the 3rd biggest line in the league. Maybe with Wesco at fullback, you just start hammering teams, which nobody really does anymore with a fullback. But, hey, the Patriots did it with Klecko a couple of years ago. So that's it. I guess you can follow me on my YouTube channel, GWell66. I do a bunch of analysis videos, anime, and maybe football soon. And that's it. Thanks,
awesome,
guys.
Man. Graham, I really appreciate the call. Definitely call back in the future. Like I said, I appreciate the support.
Yep. Take it easy.
Take care, Graham.
Drop it. Did I do it right? Cool. Yeah. So look at that. Graham called in the first caller ever of Jets X Factor live. I guess we can call this, or Blewett Blitz live. I guess it's Jets X Factor, but it's Blewett Blitz live. So definitely appreciate that. I don't know. Let's see. I don't think anybody else has called in, but hey, I'm fine with 80 plus viewers and a call. And like I said, we'll keep building this. So I really appreciate everybody who's supporting the channel right now. Right now, we're going to continue to do this in the future.
By the way, if I could say something about the Bills, I really like John Brown. The receiver, John Brown, he's good.
Yeah.
And he's underrated. He doesn't get enough credit around the league.
And they added Diggs. That's the thing. Like the difference between that team and Darnold is they have Brown. They have I would take Crowder over Beasley. But they still have Beasley. They have a legit number one. The Jets don't have that. They have a good offensive line, and I think they have I think the Jets have decent coaching too, but I think McDermott's a better leader of men and things like that. I think he's a better overseer of the whole team, and leads that team better than Gase does. So they're a good team. They're a well-coached team. They're a simple defense, but they're really strict in the rules of their defense, and they don't blow assignments very frequently. So you have to, they bend, but they don't break type of team. So they're really disciplined. Josh Allen adds the threat of his legs, but he's just not a good quarterback in terms of the actual process. Like, yeah, you can have arm strength all day long, but you need to process things. Processing is the number one thing, processing and accuracy. And he doesn't necessarily have either one of those. So I'm not high on him, and I'm not just shitting on the Bills because it's the Bills. Again, honest opinions, but like I said, I appreciate all the support for the show, and I'm not hanging up yet, but first one. And again, this is more of a talk show type deal, but we kind of want to do a talk show with opinions that are based in film, not just stats and the same old recycled shit you see out there. So not to call anybody else out, but to call other people out. So other than that, let's see I don't know what's going on in the chat. Something we talked about yesterday. Somebody's about to shit on Long Island and say why New Jersey is better than Long Island. I saw that in the chat. I don't want to scroll up. I don't want to start a fight. But New Jersey is better than Long Island, in my opinion. So Kyle, you're from North Jersey, right? You're up north?
No, I live in Edison, from South Plainfield.
Is Central Jersey a thing? This is a discussion I had last night on another live stream.
People around here really say that it is. So.
It is a thing. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever. I don't mind using that term.
The people from North are the people who come down to Central Jersey and ruin my summer. And then the people from the South are basically from Philly and Philly fans and call subs hoagies and all that stuff.
I don't do any of that shit.
Do you call pork roll?
I would say it's interchangeable around here. People might say pork roll, or some people might say bacon, egg, or whatever. It goes both ways.
Well, people say Taylor ham, but Taylor ham is
say that too. It's not uncommon for people to say both.
It's the brand. The product is the pork roll. There's different brands of pork roll. Taylor ham is not. It's not a monopoly on pork roll. So, Jon Snow is not Taylor ham. There's different brands of pork roll. So what do you call like a freaking? I don't know what's another brand of pork roll that you have out there. What is Food Town pork roll? Like
you're asking the wrong person. I don't eat pork.
Oh shit, you don't. Yeah, you're not the right person to ask this. Bills have a better team, but the Jets have more important piece that they don't have. Yeah, I agree with that, TJ. I'm taking Darnold over Josh Allen every single day of the week. Somebody asked, how would you line up the Jets versus the Bills in matchups? O-line versus D-line, wide receiver versus corner, linebacker versus running back, tight end. I'm not sure exactly what you mean with that, to be honest.
I think he's asking, like, is the Bills offensive line better than the Jets? Is that what he's asking? Like, would you say that the Bills offensive line is better than the Jets?
He's saying like O-line versus D-line. Like, how would you line up the Jets versus the Bills in matchups, offensive line versus defensive line, wide receiver versus corner? I don't, we have to go through the Bills roster and say what we could do versus them and schemes that work against them. That's something that's the film show that I could do when they play the Bills and see what matchups we won. I know for the receiver versus corners, I know you want to do, I'm going to say a lot of rub routes and pick routes because you don't necessarily want Trey White lining up against anybody because I think he's the second or third best, fourth, fifth, whatever, best corner in the NFL. So you don't want.
I was really hoping he was going to opt out.
Yeah, so was I when I was seeing that. Yeah. Yeah, linebacker versus running back, tight end. I'll get into this when we do the actual show. I don't want to get into a whole Bills matchup. Oh, who wins the matchups? Who are better? Okay, who's better? The Jets offensive line, the Bills defensive line type deal. The Bills, they got Epinesa, they got Oliver. They got a good front. I know they have a pretty good front. I'm gonna take the Bills defensive line strictly because not even necessarily talent individually, but because they've been coached and they've been on the same defensive line for years now.
Their decline. I mean, well, Oliver's gonna get better, and Epinesa's young and fresh, whatever. I don't think he's that great. Truthfully,
Yeah.
like how much better is Epinesa gonna eventually be as a player than some of these guys that we got on our team? Like, is Epinesa going to be that much better than like a Nathan Shepard? Is Epinesa going to be that much better than like a Kyle Phillips? I mean, probably not that much better. Is just what I'm thinking. Like, he's going to be a limited player. Like, I don't know. There's a reason why he fell to the second round. But Jerry Hughes is kind of on the back end of his career. They lost Lorenzo Alexander. Kyle Williams retired. Kyle Williams was so good for such a long time.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Super underrated player throughout his career. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that the Bills have a dominant defensive line at this point in time. They're just solid all the way around.
I'm still taking their defensive line over the Jets' offensive line.
Yeah, the Bills, they're well coached on defense, but they're stacked at all levels of the defense. They got good corners, really good safeties. Matt Milano is a player who isn't talked about enough throughout league circles, who I really like. And then
Let's
Tremaine
go to this,
Edmonds,
though, because I think their corners beat our receivers because their corners are really disciplined. Trey White is one of the best corners in the NFL,
and he can play anywhere too. You can play. You can line up in
a lot of positions. In what matchup, let's say, do the Jets beat the Bills? Like, where do they have the advantage on the Bills? Would you say? Because I think the Bills do beat the Jets a lot. Because the Jets are the Bills of like last year, maybe. Well, they're kind of going in the same direction. Like, build heavy on the offensive line, bring in some more weapons for Sam. They got to build more, but the Bills are farther along, in my opinion. So where do the Jets win against the Bills, do you think? I say for sure the Jets defensive line versus anybody's offense, or mostly anybody's offensive line, the Jets win. I would say that.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think, and you said the Bills have a good offensive line.
I think it's decent.
I'll say this. Yeah, it's decent. They made a tremendous turnaround in 1 year. Like Josh Allen's rookie year, they were really, really bad. And they added a ton of pieces. But if you look, they don't have any great players on the offense line. Even Deion Dawkins, who just got a nice 4-year contract, it's like, he didn't even get top tackle money. There's still like maybe like 10 or so guys that are still getting paid more money than him, even though he's the latest guy to get paid. So like, it's not like he's a leader. Like Becton could be an elite left tackle. I don't think Dawkins ever gets there. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like, you could argue that the Jets have more potential on their offensive line than do the Bills. But
I like the Jets tight ends better. I think their tight ends versus the linebackers can win in that matchup. I obviously Herndon, if he continues to build.
People, I don't know how much you watched of Dawson Knox, their Bills 4th round pick from a year ago, but some Bills fans are high on him. I haven't watched enough of him to really be able to say, but they like him.
Somebody else asking again. We'll stay live for another like 20 minutes ish. What positions after O-line would you target early in the next draft? So if it's not offensive line, it's the major positions of need right now, which is wide receiver to help Darnold out, corner, outside linebacker. Those are the big 4 right now: is O-line, receiver, corner, outside linebacker. So it depends on who falls to where at what picks. So those positions are definitely going to be the main ones, I would say. Somebody said, I still hate your brother, Kyle. Corny Bills fan. I don't know if you know who Mirror1023 is. Maybe he watched your show back.
I mean, not by that name, but maybe if
the AFC East bro, Kyle himself. They used to do a show about the AFC East, him and his brother. And his brother is a super cocky Bills fan. I'm not going to lie. I like Gary, but he is way too cocky.
The problem with him is he gets so much pleasure off of shitting on the Jets. Like he lives for that shit. Like he told me yesterday, he pissed me off yesterday. He's like, Mims isn't going to be a good player. And I was like, why? And he's like, he's just not. And I was like, why? Because he had a limited route tree in college? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, but a lot of players have limited route trees in college. I was like, what don't you like about his film? He literally had not one single reason.
Yeah, he just likes to hate on the Jets. With no,
That's just what he does. Like he'll send out a tweet, Sam Darnold ... garbage.
Yeah.
Okay, but Josh Allen isn't.
I see somebody else said in here. URUMURU22. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to say. On what basis is Darnold better than Josh Allen? Also, the Bills made the playoffs this year. Duh. I don't know if that's sarcastic. But Mark Sanchez made the playoffs too. Is Mark Sanchez better than Darnold? Hold on.
Let's go into all
Trent
the reasons.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. That means he's better than Dan Marino.
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. Darnold's better at being a quarterback. That's what I'll say. Everything. Processor. I think he has more accuracy. Josh Allen runs around and
he definitely has more accuracy. He all right. Listen, he throws it more anticipation than he. Like 100%. You said, he's a better process. And let's because maybe all your viewers don't understand the difference. Processing is how quick someone's reading the defense, how quickly they're reading the cornerback's leverage and the safety's leverage and things like that. Throwing with anticipation is basically throwing guys open before they actually are open. He does that better than Josh Allen. Like you said, he's got more accuracy. Like you said, he's got more touch. Even though Darnold has he does not have a strong deep ball, his deep ball is still better than Josh Allen's. Josh Allen's got this big arm, blah, blah, blah. The dude is one of the worst, if not the worst deep ball thrower in the whole league. So you tell me, what's the benefit of having such a strong arm and you're not even that accurate? Darnold is better in the pocket. And when I say better in the pocket, meaning he's better at sliding in the pocket and avoiding pressure. And he's better at throwing when somebody's actually in his face. I mean, one of the things that Dan Orlovsky loves to talk about is that Darnold can make some sick throws with shitty feet. And then let me give you some examples. One of my favorite Darnold plays from last year is the Giants game when the Jets are on the 1 yard line. You remember? He's got a Giants defender wrapped around his leg. His legs are totally facing straight, yet he slings a ball to Le'Veon Bell on the sideline. You remember that play?
I'm trying to think if I have. I don't think I have that one.
There was another play where Crowder scores a touchdown in that Giants game where Darnold's feet are like totally sloppy or whatever, and he slings it to Crowder on like an over route, and then Crowder runs in for a touchdown. It's like you're not seeing Josh Allen make those types of plays. Like if Josh Allen's feet are messy, he's not going to make an accurate throw. Darnold can do that, although sometimes his messy feet do cause inaccuracy issues. What?
Yeah. He has that problem where he steps in the bucket where he's not driving through his front foot, where the lead foot, you really want it driving to the defender with your hallway pointed correctly, with your front foot pointed correctly, with your mid foot pointing correctly, which your mid foot is your back foot. You want that point to where the ball is going. You want your front foot driving to where the ball is going. Instead, Darnold kind of steps to the side. And when you step to the side, you're not really creating that upper and lower body disconnection. You want that upper and lower body disconnection because you want your upper body to follow your hips. So you want your lower body to step through and then to follow through with that upper body to create like a whip like motion. So like think about like when the whip follows it, Darnold kind of just throws it where he's all in sync with each other. So he has some poor throwing mechanics that you want to see fixed up. And sometimes that leads to inaccurate balls or underthrows and things like that, or ripping the ball where it's more arm than it is legs. Yeah. And when it's more arm than it is legs, you have a tendency to overthrow because your arm overcompensates for your legs. Typically, obviously, it can be an underthrow as well, but he has that problem. But I remember always being impressed with this play, and then not a lot of people being impressed with it. But even though it's not for a first down, I think this is like a ridiculous throw that's not talked about like ever. But you literally have Darnold, who is his throwing arm is getting dragged backwards and he's getting hit in his face, and he still gets it on the money to Bilal Powell on the sideline. Like, I don't know how he makes this play, but again, he can make some ridiculous throws like off platform and all this stuff that Josh Allen can't do as consistently, even though Josh Allen has a stronger arm. But he has that anticipation, like you said. I think he reads defenses better. He's better overall at quarterback. There's a lot of stuff.
Josh Allen is just a much better runner. Team. The only thing I can really say about Allen is he's a much better runner. But you don't want your quarterback to be a runner. That's how your quarterback gets hurt. Other than that, I don't think Josh Allen is better in any one single area. And that's why probably 0 teams had Allen over Darnold on their board.
He says, somebody says, over-under on how many times Josh Allen overthrows a receiver by 10 yards in week 1. How many times you taking?
By 10 yards, that's a big overthrow.
Twice?
I'll say once. He'll do it once.
Okay, we're gonna take a caller. Somebody said Bills D, Jets O, Jets D, Bills O. Jets O line gets it could be different.
Bills have the advantage with both.
Yeah, I think the Bills offense is better than the Jets. I don't know though, because
if we win this game
week
1, we are gonna win it because Josh Allen made some dumb mistakes.
But I think the defense is average, and I think the offense has talent, but it's led by a not good quarterback. So how good is their offense really?
It's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be better this year because you got Diggs now. You added a really good receiver.
Okay, I'm gonna bring on the caller, Peter. It says he's calling about Live Beyond. I think that like the screening process is not picking up on the correct words, but again, I like it that we could both hear the caller, etc. So hopefully this is not like a prank call. We'll drop him, so I don't really care because we can curse on this show. It doesn't really mean anything. So if he, we'll see. Let's see. Can you hear me, caller?
I can't hear anything.
Oh, I think he hung up. Okay, well. Good second call. Great first call. Bad second call. Other than that, let's see if there's anything else in the chat. We'll discuss it. If not, we're going to. I think I know how to end this. I think I might forget how to end this though, to be completely honest. So, Pete said I tried to call in but lost it. Pete, you can try again. I know who Peter Friend is. Actually, he always comments on this stuff. We will win week 1 May and pool each with a pick. Sure. Like I said, I think the Bills have like a better offense all around than the Jets defense, but they have the quarterback who I don't think can really lead them properly. So,
what's funny is every team is so optimistic. Every team's fan base is so optimistic about their team heading into week 1. It's quick how fastly things can change. Like if your team has a bad week 1, you're going to see some Jets fans. Okay, you know what? The season's going to suck now. But right now, every team is hyping up their fan base because every team now has their own version of a one Jets drive. And you just go on YouTube and look at some of the comments for that show. Oh, this always gets me hyped. Mm-hmm. I think people are sleeping on Adam Gase.
No, like
sure.
Last year,
Le'Veon
Bell and Curtis Martin thing. I'm like, dude, he's got 1,500 yards. Fuck it. Obviously, like, joking kind of, but
yeah, I know it's fun. I mean, there's a reason why they pay those videographers and whoever puts together that stuff the money they do.
What was people are commenting too. The Diggs and Allen relationship is interesting. Because if Diggs hated Kirk Cousins, who I think
I told my dad at the moment
terribly average, but if he hits him, what is he going to do when Josh Allen overthrows him by 10 yards when he's streaking wide open down the sideline?
Great point. And let's just be fair. Like Diggs is going to help Allen a lot because Diggs creates lots of separation because he's a really good route runner. So, Josh Allen, a relatively inaccurate quarterback, he's going to be able to throw in. He doesn't have to throw it in as tight of windows because of that. So Diggs is going to help Allen, but is Allen going to help Diggs? And I think the answer is no. And like you said, yeah, if he's such a crybaby with Kirk Cousins, who is definitely an above average quarterback, if you ask me, by no way, shape, or form is he elite or anything, but I think that he's gotten so much criticism for what he's done in Minnesota, which is unfair criticism. And yeah, he was unhappy there. Like, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, Diggs. Like you cried your way to get out of Minnesota, which I don't know anything about the city of Minnesota and whether or not it's fun or whatever to be there. You didn't like your quarterback situation, but now you're going to the boring city of Buffalo. And now you're having Josh Allen throw you passes.
Yeah. All right. So I don't really see, I'll wait for like 2 more seconds to see if Pete calls back in. Nothing really in the chat, Kyle. Any topics you want to hit on while we're waiting? Like I said, we have like another 10 minutes.
Just one last thing, and that's the throw.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The throw. If you could make the throw, if I could make the throw.
Oh, hold on. Go to your display.
Go to your computer. It's Chris Hogan,
dude. And the thing, well, actually,
Just pull
Yeah,
it
hold
up
on.
and then let me talk, and then you answer me. You respond to what I have to say.
Can you give
I am
context of why I said I can? I never said I can make this
just
play.
pull it up. Pull it up because there's going to be people who don't know what we're talking about. So just pull it up, and then I'll
Where
explain.
the hell? Missed on scissors? Was it the scissors concept?
Maybe.
Is this it?
Yeah, I think
This is it. This is it.
Okay. So play it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen watching, Joe Blewett in his Chris Hogan film analysis was saying, look at Hogan here. There's a miscommunication by the defense, and he's just wide open. And
Scissors
like,
concept.
Brady is not what Brady used to be. He's still really good, but he's not what he used to be. He's like, he should make this throw all the time. And he's like, I can make this throw 7 out of 10 times. This is what Joe said. Joe said, I can make this throw 7 out of 10 times. Now, just listen to me carefully, everybody who's watching. Joe is criticizing Brady for missing this throw in the context of a football game where you got to have communication with your team, where you're dropping back, you're worried about big 300-pound monsters sacking you, where you got to read the leverage of the defenders, and then you got to make the throw to your player. And now this isn't
I'm defending myself after this.
This is not in shorts in a parking lot, right? This is in a game. Joe is criticizing Brady for not making the throw in a game where he's got to do all this other stuff that goes into making the throw. So that's the context in which Joe's criticizing Brady. And Joe is saying right after Brady didn't make the throw, I can make this throw.
I'm saying, Kyle.
I got on Joe. Hold on, I'm almost done. I got on Joe and I said, "Listen, you're not making that throw, man. I'm not making that throw."
You're bending this.
And then Joe is saying, "Listen, I can make this throw." Scott Mason saying, "I've seen him make the throw." We're talking about whether or not you can make the throw in the game. We're not talking about whether or not you can make
taking
this
it out
throw
of context. I am saying I'm not
Pete,
saying
you're tailgating,
no,
buddy.
No. I'm not saying I can make I'm not gonna take the ball. I'm not gonna read the leverage. I'm not gonna read this. By the way, this is a scissors concept. Jamal Adams carries. This was a miscommunication between these two guys. It looks like Rashad Robinson was supposed to take this, and then Jamal Adams was supposed to bite down if they had a Zorro call, which is an automatic switch for these type of things. And 4 deep looks like this. So I guess there was no automatic Zorro or Jamal Adams messed up here, but I'm talking about from here. Like, I'm not talking about the drop back of the read. I'm talking from here, throwing a 30-yard ball to a wide open receiver. I am putting that ball on Hogan 7 out of 10 times. I am confident in that. I'm not talking about dropping back, reading it. I'm saying if I transform to Brady right here, I'm making this throw 7 out of 10 times. And we can go on a football field and we can make it 40 yards and I will hit it 7 out of 10 times, not 30. Well, maybe not. Let's make it 35. 35 yards because he did have to float into a little bit, but you were saying, oh, hits a floater over a linebacker. There's no linebacker that's going to, what is he going to jump 47 feet in the air to get this? So I'm saying from here to this post, I'm making that throw 7 out of 10 times.
I mean, you do have to
and
put
I think you could too.
Okay, but if you're in the parking lot, you can still complete this pass without having to put a good amount of air under it. Yeah, sure. The linebacker is really not in a good position to deflect this or intercept or whatever.
You're not going to whip a ball 30 yards and have it on a line drive. It's going to hit this guy in the face. It's going to have
automatic. If you see some of these guys throw in the parking lot, they throw like that.
Okay, well, I'm not, my IQ is above 4. I don't whip a ball like that. Like you gotta have a lollipop to it, but it's 15 yards over his head to throw. So it's not like if he was staying at like the 5 or the goal line, then yeah, I get that. But these linebackers to me are not even in the equation. If you throw any type of decent ball to get it there, it's not like it's a bullet where it's shooting out at 78 miles or freaking 7,800 miles per hour.
Listen, your point about the linebackers is totally fair, but you got to factor in all the other stuff. And all I'm saying, I'm saying
the
is
defender
this.
Here and the defender there.
No, the fact that before he even got to that, like, did Brady know pre-snap that Hogan was going to run this wide open? Because I
just said this throw. I didn't say this play.
Okay, but see, the problem is you're changing the goalpost. You are moving the goalpost. You said you can make the throw, but there's other things that go into making the throw.
I'm just saying, just the throw, just the mechanics of this. I'm confident. We have 60 people in here. Again, I appreciate everybody. We had almost 100, so I definitely appreciate.
I'm curious to see what the people said about this.
I appreciate the people who are in here. So I'm not even saying for them to ask if I can, because they don't know who I am. They've never seen me in person. They don't know who I am. But I'm confident that out of the 64 people in here, 32 of them would say they can make this throw at least half the time. Maybe some of them are a little bit overzealous. But if you play any type of sports, if you're athletic or even decently athletic, I think you can hit a 30-yard post. What do you think?
Listen,
I see Jets X Factor in there. What do you think, Sabo? Do you think you can hit this throw 7 out of 10 times? I'm confident you could. You played college football. Look how bad he overthrows them. Come on.
Oh, no, it's a bad throw by Brady. I'm not defending him at all there. He definitely should have made this throw. There's no question about it. But you aren't Brady, and you're not throwing in the parking lot. And
wow.
The only reason I criticized you is just to act like if the way you made it sound and the way I gave you pushback is like you made it sound like, okay, if I was on the field in this exact context that Brady's in, I can hit this throw. That's the way you made it sound. So
all
now
right,
just to say, oh, I can throw the ball. I know you can throw the ball 30 something yards and complete a post. I know you can.
That's all I'm saying.
I never said that you couldn't do that, but to act like you can put on the Patriots uniform against the Jets defense.
I'm not saying I'm taking a drop and making this throw. I'm just saying just the strict throw. I'm not saying make the play, read the defense. So this is the so far we're getting.
I'm just saying you're just moving the goalpost a little bit. You're changing up your argument a little bit.
I'm just saying the throw. I didn't say the play. If you listened with your ears, I said the throw. Jets X Factor said, hell no, safety. I'm disappointed that Sabo doesn't think he can make this throw. I guess he never played quarterback. You didn't play quarterback. I played a little bit of like quarterback in high school and stuff, but I transferred to running back. I'm not let's see.
But see, is Robbie thinking about it in the way I'm thinking about or in the way that you're thinking about?
So we have a disagreement in the philosophy of this kind of, not just, I'm not saying the play. I'm just saying the throw. John Snow said, I definitely made that throw and I was a D lineman in high school. Pete said he tried to call in again and lost it. Okay, Pete, maybe next time, maybe you have bad connection or whatever. Joe Corsello says, don't need to know you. And I know you could do it. Might get picked off though. By who? Savo could do it. No arm. Okay. Yeah. So I guess that's it. Kyle, any last topics you want to discuss or anything to say?
No.
No.
It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think I'm going to double check. Yeah. So next time, definitely try to get more callers. Again, people don't really know us. I'm assuming there's definitely a couple people in here who I've never seen before. Comment on the YouTube videos. Again, if you want to go back and watch it. So if this is your first time watching the channel, I haven't seen John Snow before. Pete Frenna said, Joe, I think you can get it to him 7 out of 10 times.
In the parking lot or in the game?
I don't know. I'm just saying the throw. But regardless, definitely appreciate people coming on. Again, there's a lot of people I haven't seen before. So continue to tune into this. I don't know exactly what day it's going to be every month. I don't know if it's going to be like the first Wednesday of every month or whatever it's going to be. Just stay tuned. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter. I'll obviously promote it. So I'm happy with the turnout, 80 plus people. So I'm definitely planning on doing it at least once a month for now.
Hey, whoever did the dislike took it away.
Did they? Did they do it on purpose?
I guess.
TJ said he's looking forward to many more streams. Yeah, like I said, the thing is, I used to do Jet Nation Radio, which was largely call-ins. It was all call-ins, no film. I started to learn more about football, like by watching it and studying and looking at coaching clinics. So then I wanted to get to more film. So then I transferred to completely into film. But I want to get back into once a month again to meet strictly film. I want to get back into talking to people again. Call in next show. I appreciate all the comments that you guys are leaving and us responding to. I definitely like interacting with you guys, even though I'm not hearing your voices. But again, if you want to call. If you don't, not a big deal. You can always comment because it's just as good. You're getting your opinions out there. But if you're new to the channel, again, McGovern, Becton, whoever, they're hour to 2 hour shows all about technique and foot. And you heard me talking about the midfoot and upper and lower body disconnection and stepping in the bucket and bucket steps and protections. If you guys want to learn about that stuff and actually know your team, this is the channel for you. So we're going to be doing these shows where we're going to be doing a more talk show type deal, but it's based on film. So that's really it. Hey, Kyle, any last words before we Oh, Cheese Boys. You should do a recap show after every game. So you're new to this channel. Every single game, I watch it. I break down the film, and then I do a 40 to or 30 to 50 play review of it, where I talk about the plays, what happened, why it didn't work, why it did work, individual performances, and all that stuff. So that's gonna happen after every game. And that's pretty much it. But I do plan on doing this at least once a month. So Kyle, I know you said some words before, but
I was just saying that I know everyone's time's valuable, so especially for the people who watch the whole thing, just really appreciate you spending that much time to watch. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure. Again, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in about a month. Keep in touch, and obviously follow the content to watch some of those shows. And even if you don't like those shows, then just watch these shows. But we'll keep you posted.